I just hit something. I just hit something. Sorry, guys. I hit something.
Yeah,
What
it's
the
all
hell is
good.
this?
Can you hear me, Jay?
Yeah, I can hear you, bro. What's this over here? Sorry, guys. I
It's
just hit
some new
something.
thing.
Well,
Is
you
it
could
to
see.
the left?
Yeah, what is that?
I can see it. Yeah, it's some new. I think it's some new option that StreamYard gives. I saw it when I just went live. I don't think it really means anything. I'll look on the
Yeah.
live stream and see if I see any
Oh,
difference.
that's all right. We're fine. We're fine. We're fine. I'll just keep it pushing. So anyway, let's take it back to January. I mean, excuse me, July. It's July 22nd, the Saturday, the evening. What do you call it? Little Ed. He on the evening of Saturday, July 22nd of '95, he went inside the midnight convenience store and he displayed a green handled knife to John Arnold. Who was John Arnold, the store clerk? And
The only person I knew at midnight was Frank, the owner. Oh, yeah, his son. I forget his son's name. I kind of knew
I
him.
think that was his son-in-law,
But
Jack Arnold.
Jack, I
I
really,
think that
I
was
mean,
his
so
I've
th-
seen
son.
him in there,
this
but I've really never
did this
talked
come
to him.
up? Did this come up in the trial or the night before? He went inside midnight convenience to this guy. Was
Yeah,
he on the stand, Mr. Arnold, on the stand testifying at all?
I think he was. Yeah.
And so he said that he went in there and he displayed a knife and the knife had a loose hilt to it. And I guess allegedly, obviously, allegedly, right? He wanted to trade a knife with Mr. Arnold. So basically, he's saying that little Ed had a knife collection. What are you going to say about that? Did he have a knife collection, or is this all bullshit?
We'll leave that for his appeal.
Okay, that's fine. So let's go to the the night with Ed. So Ed allegedly he goes inside the house. He sees the door. So let's start at the porch. You have a 2-month-old baby, right? You just had a baby, and you have a 2-year-old too, right? So Eddie
Right.
gives ice. He gives ice cream or something to the kids, or puts a movie on a VCI. Puts something.
Popsicles. Yeah, he put popsicles. He gave popsicles out to the kids, and then John Roberts was having trouble getting Timmy to go over to the house. He was only a little kid, and he didn't want to leave because everybody else was out there. And so Ed said, "I'll carry him over. No problem, John." So Ed carried little Timmy over there to the house next door after he gave all these kids popsicles. And then as he was going in, I said, "Hey, Ed, can you do me a favor?" And then I don't know what movie it was, Snow White or whatever. I says, "Can you throw the VCR in for your sisters so they can watch a movie?" He said, "Yeah, no problem." So he did that. And I don't know exactly the amount of time he was in there. It wasn't long. And then he come out and he walked by me and he said, "Hey, I'm going to go to Burger King." And I said, "Okay, kid, I'll see you in a little while."
And I can picture you saying that, my man.
Yeah.
I can picture you saying that. You're the cool dad, huh? We all wish we had a dad like Big Ed. God damn, Big Ed.
Yeah.
We
Well,
all we all needed a Big Ed man in '95. Trust and believe that.
yeah,
Holy shit.
I
I,
tried.
yeah, no, that's awesome, man. That's awesome, man. I appreciate you for real, man. Um, stepping up, man, and being a man. A lot of guys from that era, just decided to choose the bottle over their kids. Trust and believe that. And
Yeah.
you know, yeah. So anyway, he goes across the street and he sees the door open to Ryan's. This is a story. This is let's talk about Ed's story if we can, as much as we can. But the story is he goes inside and he opens up. He was looking for Ryan and he seen the door open, so he just went in the house, and that was common things to do over there, right? He was friends with him. He could just do that, right?
But I hate to cut you off, but once Ed hit the bottom of my stairs, I have nothing to say. That's in his appeal.
But
Okay,
the whole,
okay.
I mean, you were asking for like if if you would take a polygraph test.
Oh yeah,
Ed
what's Ed
Ed
took a
did.
polygraph. He did.
Ed, Ed took a sodium amytal test.
Now, what's that? Can you explain to the audience exactly what that is?
Right?
It's
Well,
truth serum.
it's like a truth serum. the judge wanted Eddie to have that done so he could make sure that he wasn't a crazy person.
So this was in 1995. This happened.
That was in October of 1995.
Yes, Judge Heffernan, the court actually paid for it. So we're like, yeah, it's fine with us. You do whatever you do whatever you need to do, because we know we didn't do this. You can do whatever you want. So
We just want the truth. And that came out in the sodium amytal test. Everything he said, he told us, which was the truth. He did not have anything to do with this. He wasn't involved in it in any way. And it all came out. The three doctors that did this test, it was down in Hingham. It was Dr. Spears and Dr. Hardy and Dr. Hockendall.
yes,
And he was taken up from Plymouth to their office, and he was given the sodium amytal intravenously, and it was taped. And he told them exactly, because he had also, Dr. Spears had also given sodium amytal to, at I think a year or two before.
Meinholz.
Okay, yeah. And had given it to him, and he came out with a lot of stuff, because you can't lie into this. And he didn't even want to be paid from him. He goes, he's a sick person.
Yeah,
Meinholz.
Raymond Patriarca Jr. took the test, and he was like, "You can't lie in this stuff," and they got me. You know what I mean? So,
But it was, so we do have the tape. We do.
So you have the tape of him taking the test.
Yeah.
Wow. How do we? Now that's for the appeal. Is that for the appeal?
No, that was brought into.
No, I'm saying, can we use that? Can we get a copy of that and play that?
I can't give it out because Ed doesn't want it to be, because
No, that's fine.
There was other, not just from that night, but other things that they asked him.
Okay, that's fine. That's fair. That's fair.
But
That
it
confused it.
was on the news. It was on
the
TV.
news.
The news people got the copy of the tape.
Mm.
It was plastered all over the news. We were horrified. Not horrified, but we were saying, how the hell did they get a copy of this stuff?
So we have a lawyer in here, right? Her name is Nan Gallagher. She's a friend of the show. She's a great lawyer, and she's she's a very great woman, very smart woman. And she just said there is not. She just put it up on the screen. I don't know if you guys can see it, but that's not longer standard of care. She's talking about the lie detector test. He should submit for a polygraph now. That was her advice for you guys. I don't know if you guys are up on that. I'm sure Eddie is, because Eddie lives in the law library. We heard last night.
Oh, big time! Yeah.
So I mean, that's just something to think about. And she's actually a New Jersey lawyer, but she's actually she's about to get her Massachusetts license. So I'm sure she's looking into this, and she's gonna look into this for Eddie and look into because the show or whatever, and get down to the bottom of it. So now you guys have a new friend that is
Oh, that's good. That's
she's
a good thing.
Yeah, she's a
And
very smart woman.
That's another thing. They try to make it sound like the neighborhood was in an uproar and this and that. We have gained more friends and supporters than any detractors over the years.
She would be licensed soon in Massachusetts. Nan
Yeah.
will. So once
Maybe
Nan
she
becomes
can-
once Nan becomes licensed, believe me, she's a firecracker. She's definitely part of the not fucking around crew.
I
That's a
love
good
it.
thing, because
Yeah.
you know what? We
Yeah.
need more lawyers like that.
Yeah.
We need more lawyers that aren't going to take what the district attorneys say, because
Right.
everybody believes the district attorneys.
Oh,
and you know
Riley.
what?
Huh.
There was so much bad press because this was just one case,
Mhm.
but every other case, they have to go back to the district attorney.
Right.
So they're going to get all and write anything they want them to say. Okay.
So
Well,
what?
was her
So
name?
so I know that you guys can't, whatever's in the appeal, but and we've been speculating what could happen, and and I'll just say this, that and you guys don't have to speak to this, but I'll just throw it out there, that the hard thing for Eddie that he has to overcome in his appeal, just my opinion, this is my opinion, is that he has, and we've seen it in the parole hearing. I was watching the parole tapes today, and I have a copy of that. I don't know if you guys want me to play a little bit of it. I don't know if you guys want to watch it a little bit with us.
I
When they-
sent it to you.
Yeah, yeah. You said, oh,
Yeah.
so yeah, I'll play a little bit of that and
Yeah.
show a couple of things when Eddie was asked. Eddie said that, I didn't do this. They got my DNA, and I mean, they had my DNA. It didn't match the DNA under the fingernail, and that just blows my mind. That just
Right.
blows my mind, right? But the hurdle that he has to convince the appellate court at the time that the guy, because now the guy Mako was saying in one of the reports, he was saying, and like I said, you can't speak to this, but Mako said in the report that he's seen Eddie running down the street. He had he's seen him in the bushes running out. Eddie turns around. He's never seen him look like his eyes was popping out of his head. And then the very next day, Ryan calls up your house and talks to Eddie and asks him if said Mako seen him at the house or whatever it might be. Eddie denies it. Supposedly, allegedly, they go in the backyard with you and have like this little meeting, and Eddie denies it, says it's impossible you see me. And then later on, it comes out, Eddie denies it up until that point, and then later on, it comes out that he said he was there. Now, if one question you could answer, how long, if you can, how long after did Eddie say he was there? Like, was it weeks? Was it months? Can you speak to that?
It was probably a couple of weeks.
A couple of weeks. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's fine. And can we
That's
play a little bit of the parole?
true.
Can we play a little bit of the parole?
Sure.
Yeah, good. That's why Ed wanted me to send it to you.
All right, I'm gonna play a little bit of the parole when they're asking him questions about why he didn't say anything, and I think that's like the main thing here. Like, I think like if that never happened, he said it himself. That's the biggest mistake he ever made. I think like that's the hottest obstacle he had, that he never said anything. But then again, he's 15 and he's scared, right?
He was
So
threatened.
Yeah,
there you
and he wasn't your regular 15-year-old kid. He acted younger than a 15-year-old kid.
All right, let's play a little bit of that. I'm gonna put it up on the screen. We can watch it, people. This is Eddie now at his parole hearing. That's Eddie. And it's a little low. You guys probably can't hear the guy talking. Eddie's nice and clear. This is the much volume I can get, but check it out, people.
And 2 weeks later, after consulting with the lawyers, you decided to tell the truth regarding that?
That is correct.
And why was it you decided not to tell the truth initially?
I think it was just being stupid, scared. I think it was my belief that I didn't do this. This is just a mistake. They'll probably find out who did it. And then
This
I think
was your best friend's mother, your next door neighbor. Why would you not say something at that point?
when that night,
Once you observed what you did?
what do you, I didn't do anything.
No, once you observed what you saw, I should say. When I say did, I meant what you actually saw.
I understand. That is one of the biggest regrets I have. I wish I had an answer for you. I just think it was the shock. I mean, I can't explain it. You're right. I should have.
Okay, and you said you saw someone in there? And that's where you want to leave it? You don't want
Yes.
to indicate who that person was or anything?
That's correct.
And you maintained that for your 29 years in prison?
Except for those first 2 weeks.
Wow.
Okay, now as far as disclosing who that person was?
What I like to say is, I don't want people to believe me what I have to say. The evidence is going to speak for it. And there's a lot of evidence there that doesn't, there's DNA profiles there that's not me.
So I got one specific question.
Go ahead.
That I'm trying to ask.
Yep,
Did you at any point specifically identify someone else? as
probably
being-
no,
Never?
never.
Okay. And the reason for not doing that was what?
I don't think anyone cares to hear what I have to say about that. Especially back then.
Not even to a close family member?
Oh, I mean, that's different.
Well, have you or no?
That's correct.
You did?
I have,
You
yes.
Okay, but that never came out to assist you in any way over the years?
No.
Okay.
My lawyers at that time during the trials, the transfer hearings, as you can see, they didn't put on a defense.
Okay.
They didn't put anything on. He wanted more money, and that's all he cared about. No experts, no challenging. We were made promises about everything, and we had nothing.
If you did do this crime, it would be pretty concerning. This is not an average murder. This is very sadistic. There's indication there might be some sexual violence involved. 98 times she was stabbed or slashed. What do you think in terms of rehabilitation that would take?
I can't answer that. I don't know. That's,
The only reason I'm asking you that is because you were convicted by a jury.
yep.
You've been trying to appeal this for how many years now?
Well, I've never filed an appeal. It seems like there's always
So
been
you
a,
had the initial appeal after you were
it was the direct appeal, correct?
Okay. And since then, you didn't file any further appeals?
So after that direct appeal, my attorney was working on the case, had a heart attack. It took me several years to find new attorneys. This is actually how I met Jack. I had a law firm that came into this case from Washington DC. They needed local counsel. They wanted to overturn the juvenile life sentence issue in Massachusetts. And that's all they really much cared about. They wanted to overturn it. Then we were asked not to file anything because the publicity on my filing might have affected the issue. So we took a step back on that. After the juvenile issue came about, they didn't really stick around. And that's when someone put my name in for the Innocence Program. After a review, they accepted it. And then it just didn't work out with those initial attorneys, but the attorneys that I have now, it's working out, and we're about to file.
All right, so I'm going to read to you some portions of prior testimony from the transcript. I just want to get you to comment on this, what your thoughts are. I understand that Dr. Kinshirf wrote an updated evaluation concerning you, but I believe he was also involved in the evaluation concerning the transfer.
He had some part of I was never evaluated by him, but I know he did testify for the defense, for the prosecution at that time.
So I just want to read you some portion just to get your thoughts on this. And I'm not sure if his position is still the same today, but I'm curious as to what you think of his opinion then. It said that Dr. Kinshirf testified that assuming the materials reviewed are accurate and true, including evidence that the perpetrator watched the victim undress, that the perpetrator made numerous comments concerning the victim's sexual orientation, that the injuries to the victim were as set forth in the autopsy report and testimony of the medical examiner, and assuming there were numerous cuts consistent with being cut with a knife to the victim's bra, those factors made him extremely concerned, and I think they're referring to Dr. Kinshirf when they say that this behavior represents a sexualized nature to the assault, which takes this to the domain of possibility, sexualized sadism or sexualized sexual attack, which, if it also involved gratuitous mutilation of the body and the death of the victim, placed this in a category both a very dangerous individual, but amongst those generally thought to be the least amenable to rehabilitation. What do you think of that? This is all supposition if you had
Assuming.
committed this crime.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think two answers to that. Number one, you have Dr. Kinshirf here today to speak on that. And number two, the evidence he was presented was either false, fabricated, or made up, and he wasn't given the whole evidence at that time by DA Tom Riley. The opinion, what he made his opinion on was the evidence Tom Riley presented to him. It wasn't evidence of the whole case.
So he was assuming you did it, basically. Not that
From
he
what
knew,
from my,
just assuming if it were true.
my talks with Dr. Kinshirf was he never made the opinion that it was me.
No, I get that.
No, just not whether I'm, it was if,
If
yes,
you were the individual who committed such a crime,
right,
then you'd fit a certain profile, is what he's suggesting. But he's not saying you did it.
right.
I just want to make
If I might, Mr. Coleman. In the transfer hearings, there was a Part A and a Part B, and the Part A would be is there probable cause to believe the person committed the crime. With Mr. O'Brien's case, there was no Part A because he had been indicted. So every witness so only the Part B was either before originally Judge Heffernan or the second time before Judge Galey. Every witness was told that because the probable cause had been found, and it's found by the indictment itself, then they have to consider that he did it, because that's the way the transfer hearing worked. So and that's just it's throughout the transcript, but legally that's also the way, that's an accurate statement, that if once probable cause is found in a transfer hearing, then the assumption is that the person did it. And in that context, in the Part B, are they going to be ability to be rehabilitated by age 21? Because that was the age at that time of
Okay, and I'm gonna get
DYS.
to that aspect.
Yep. I just wanted to give you the legal framework.
And just to touch on that, if you don't mind. Looking through Tom Riley's notes now, he didn't even believe that evidence back then.
Okay, so let me move on. And like I said, this is just assuming you committed this crime. And you have to understand, us sitting here today, we have to deal with having committed this crime because you were convicted of the jury. It's not our job to retry this case. You do understand that?
Correct.
The appellate process ongoing.
Yep.
Sounds like. Okay. The former FBI agent, who I think you mentioned was thrown out of court on several occasions, he also had an opinion on this, and I just want to read that to you and get your feelings. And this is going to lead into the whole idea of rehabilitation and what you've been doing over the years. He said the offender is someone who is not horrified by what he's done, not repulsed. He is interested in his own injuries at the house. He didn't plan on the knife breaking, and he didn't plan on his friends coming to the house because he thought the family was done for the evening and the victim was alone. The crime being interrupted by the friends knocking on the door forced him out of the house. This shows rational decision-making, clear thinking, adaptive and resourceful, and someone familiar with the interior layout of the house. Blood evidence shows that he went down the back stairs, leaving the bloody fingerprint on the post at the bottom of the stairs, blood on items that were hanging on the line in the basement pulled aside to get outside the cellar door. He is seen by his peers coming out of the thicket behind the house and walking down the street where 20 droplets of blood were later found. The murder weapon was not recovered, but a broken knife hilt was, and the clothing worn leaving the scene was not recovered. Concerning post-offense behavior of the offender, McCreary testified that he found O'Brien's report of the alleged robbery significant because it showed a resourceful, adaptive approach to unforeseen circumstances. He staged an event in Union Square to provide an excuse for the wound to his hand, which for a 15-year-old showed criminal sophistication or confidence. He called the police, and on the 911 call, he was calm, not panicked. He made no mention of an injury, just reported he was jumped. The call was made 7 minutes after Janet Dowling's body was recovered. Anything you want to disagree with that, or?
Pretty much the whole thing.
Okay.
Just for example, what you ended there with, I'll supply those affidavits of that mugging.
Okay.
Going
Is there
through,
any evidence at the scene of the mugging to substantiate that you were actually mugged and cut?
what do you,
Was there any blood droplets or anything found at the scene?
the cop went there with a flashlight, 30 seconds and left.
Okay.
30
Did you at
seconds.
some point report that the only witnesses were some homeless guys, or?
I didn't report that.
No, I'm just asking. I thought I'd read that somewhere.
So the guy that, so this is another issue we're dealing with. One of the guys were driving by Union Square that night, called the Somerville Police Department to report it, and they said they'd have someone come out and speak to him, and they never did because they didn't care. It wasn't until 2 years later he contacted the state police and said, listen, I witnessed that mugging. That's when they contacted my attorneys, and they went out there and got the statement from this guy.
That came
Wow.
about 2 years after the crime?
Yes.
Okay.
2 years.
And what was
Wow.
done with that at that point?
Once again, my attorney didn't want to put anyone on the stand.
Wow.
As you can see, my attorney didn't put on the defense at all. He kept on telling me, oh, we're gonna put you on the stand, Eddie. Never prepped me, never spoke to me, nothing. Up until the day before, he wasn't gonna put me on the stand.
Okay. Was this information ever used in any sort of appeal?
Never.
Okay. All right, so, you know, I'm gonna start where I'm gonna end where I pretty much started.
Okay.
You know, the concerning thing is about the crime itself.
I agree
And
with
the
you.
fact that you were convicted of it. I understand you have no history of, you know, any sort of violence or anything like this. This is the first time you were ever charged?
Correct.
Okay. But this is a highly unusual crime.
Yeah.
And from my review of the file, the evidence against you that was considered by the jury was strong. I guess you're raising a lot of doubts now as to whether or not the information provided to the jury was accurate, things of that nature. And that's, you know, that's to be worked out in the courts. But from where we sit,
Yeah. The
you're
parole.
convicted of a pretty heinous crime, which brings me to my last point, rehabilitation. We have the programs you've done. If we're to believe that you committed this crime and that there was some sexual component to that, it's going to be a question as to whether or not, you know, you're truly rehabilitated or whether you're capable of any further crimes, you know, motivated by any sort of sexual deviance. What do you say to that?
I would direct you to Dr. Kinshir's report.
Okay. And what's your understanding of what Dr. Kinshir's report says?
I glanced through it, but I know he touched on that. I can't speak on it. I'm not a doctor. I don't know, you know, it's just, that's something, it's hypothetical.
Okay. So from your perspective, you didn't commit this crime? And
That is
there's
correct.
no concern as far as those areas?
That is correct.
Okay. All right, so I think that answers my questions. So thank you.
Thank you.
Board Member Coughlin.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I first wanted to express my condolences to the family and the friend of Janet Dowling. I know how difficult and traumatizing these hearings can be for families and survivors, especially when you're not expecting to be here initially. So I just wanted to recognize your pain and acknowledge that in the room today. Mr. O'Brien, what do you think it's like for the family to sit here today?
Oh, I think it's horrible for them.
Nice.
What do you think their experiences might be? What do you think some of the feelings that they might be experiencing are today?
I'm sure there's a lot of hatred, a lot of sorrow, digging up old feelings, emotions. I'm sure they're more comfortable with me not having a parole hearing, not filing a Rule 30, and I'm sure this is something that they probably never want to deal with again.
And again, and I know this has been said, the only reason we're here really is because you were a child at the time of this case, and because of our understanding of brain science, you're now afforded this real meaningful opportunity to be released to community, but based on a demonstrated capacity of maturity and rehabilitation. And I think, like many of the board members have said this morning, that sort of demonstration of rehabilitation is a challenge because we don't have a baseline. And so in so many of these cases, I like to understand, especially when a child has committed an offense, what were their life circumstances at the time? What was their psyche at the time? What were their environmental context at the time? What were their childhood adverse experiences at the time? Sort of giving a sense of where someone's at to then have an ability to demonstrate they are a completely changed person. And I know we're not afforded that opportunity given the circumstances of your case. So my questions really are, I only really want to understand who you are and who your character is today, because I really think that that's the only thing we can really consider at this point. But I just had a question and clarity in terms of the challenges you had with the Innocence Project. We've had so many people that have like really experienced brilliant lawyers working for that organization, and so I just am not, can you talk to me a little bit more about the challenges with the Innocence Project, why they never sort of moved forward with your case, and why what was different between your idea of what should happen and theirs?
It was several issues. One main issue is the Innocence Project pretty much told me they didn't care about the juvenile transfer hearing issues, which I believe are strong issues in this case. And there was several things that are surrounding about that. That was the main thing. They determined that they wanted to retest the items in the case where it was other people's profiles found at the scene. And it was our suggestion that why not, well, my suggestion, well, the people who possibly could be is not in any database to match it against. So it wouldn't be considered new evidence. It would just be considered the same, someone else's profile. So there was discrepancies. Then there was, we disagreed on some of those issues. But mainly, I believe that it was the juvenile transfer hearing items and appealable issues that they weren't pursuing. They only considered innocence, and they believed they had an issue there, but they didn't want to really include the other things. And they were kept on me telling me down the road we'll deal with that, but it wasn't being done.
Okay. All right. So tell me about your character today and why you think it's in the best interest of society to have you living in community.
As I stated in my opening, I believe actions speak louder than words. Everywhere I go today in the community that we're trying to build at NCCI Gardner, it's all about building community, helping each other, respecting each other, caring for each other, building each other up. That's what I would take to the community. My family and friends all know who I am, and they're not supporting me just because they think I'm a good guy. They respect me. They love me. And I would take that to the streets with me. I respect, as you can see, I haven't received a disciplinary ticket in over 10 years. I haven't been found guilty of a disciplinary ticket in over 10 years.
Tell
I
them.
respect the officers
Yeah.
who treat us horrible. I treat people the way I want to be treated, and it's about respect and decency.
Great. Thank you. That's
Thank
all
you.
the questions I have this afternoon.
Thank you.
Board Member Ortiz.
Who's that?
Good afternoon. I know we've been sitting here.
His
for quite a
name is
while.
Ortiz.
I just wanna-
He's
It
from the
ain't okay.
He's from the parole board.
So
Let me
Go ahead.
attack
Go ahead.
this, okay?
go ahead. Do it.
All right. Number one, any of these psychiatrists, especially McCreary, whose testimony was denied or tossed out in courts across the country, because he's not qualified to make any decisions on someone's so-called behavior, crime scene, or any of that stuff. He didn't have the decency to actually talk to us or talk to Ed, like Ken Shar didn't talk to Ed. But the whole thing you got to understand is we paid Bob George $170,000 to put on a defense. Right up until Bob George went to jail for fraud, he was ripping clients off left and right. And he can do whatever he wants with that, because I'm the only one that testified against him I couldn't believe they reinstated this guy. So it was all about the money.
Yep.
And he never in this world thought we were going to go through 2 transfer hearings, because Judge Heffernan was not going to bound Ed over into adult court. And he assigned his own psychiatrist, Bonham, Dr. Bonham. And Dr. Bonham, very well established, and he came and visited us. And we said to Dr. Bonham, myself and Tricia, in our kitchen, after he interviewed us and about Ed, he looked
We
at it.
also went by ourselves to his office.
Yeah, we
He did a
talked to
full
him many times. He
evaluation.
did a full evaluation. And we told him that day that he wanted a list of, 10 people?
Mhm.
to talk to in our circle of friends. And we gave him that list of 10 people.
We gave him 100 people.
Yeah, we gave him
We
more.
gave him 100 people, and we told him, call them, go into our neighborhood, take a right, take a left, talk to anybody you want to talk to. I don't care who you talk to. Talk to anybody. Talk to his teachers, talk to his coaches, talk to anybody. And he said, okay. We started getting phone calls from some of these people he called because we never told them that he was going to call. We just wanted it to be open and honest. You know, we didn't say, oh, here's a heads up, or here's this, or this, he's going to be calling. We just said call. And he was shocked by that. He said that has never happened before.
Yeah, he was like, I've been in this business 40 years. And usually when I ask someone to provide names so I can talk to them, they already know I'm coming. They already know what they're going to say. But everybody that you gave me, when I arrived at their door, they said, hold on. We're not talking to you until we talk to the O'Briens. We don't know who you are. And he says he was shocked at that. And he's the only one that did an evaluation. And that's why Heffernan wasn't going to bound him over to adult court because of Barnum.
And
The
the
other
judge,
guys,
and
McCrary,
the judge
Go ahead.
said, Hefferman said that also he's working. I think he works at Suffolk University or something like that now.
the Suffolk Courthouse. I don't know
Yeah.
where he works now. I don't know.
Yeah, well, he said that he wants to see Eddie out and he wants to shake his hand.
Oh,
Did you
now
see
he
that?
does. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the worst mistake he ever made was to change
No,
because
Heffernan. Is it Heffernan?
Heffernan, you're talking about a
Yeah, the
Barnum.
judge, the one who didn't want to bound him over, the original judge, Heffernan.
He was an honest man.
Right.
Okay. He always
He stuck to his guns.
he stuck to his guns, and he was by Weld, Governor Weld, talked to Wilkins, who was on the Supreme Court of Massachusetts.
So let me some of these. I'm trying to come up with some questions that you guys can answer, right? And one of them I think is that you can answer, and that's a good one. One is, all right. So when did he get? Who was the judge who gave him the bail? What was her name? McQueenie or something like that?
Quinlan, Regina Quinlan.
Virginia Quinlan. When did she give him the bail? What year was that?
It was December of 95.
Right.
So December of 95. So that was before the transfer hearing?
Yes.
Yes.
So he was still in juvenile court and she was going to release him underneath your custody with a bracelet and all that, right?
Right.
He was already, they already came in and checked our house and they already.
And everything. So DYS was letting him go. He was coming home.
Right.
Yes.
We waited until he get the Christmas tree because we knew he was coming home.
Wow. Hold on a minute. Hold on. I want everybody to hear something real quick. We got to take a quick little intermission real quick. December, they granted the bail. They were going to let him go, people. He was coming home. This is the story. The summer of 95. December of 95. Same time of year as right now. 30 years ago. Christmas time. They were waiting for the tree. They were waiting for the tree. Eddie and Janet. The summer of 95. Eddie O'Brien's Parents is here tonight. Let's go, people.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Summer of 1995. Hot night in July. Why did Janet have to die? This is the story of Eddie, Commonwealth of Massachusetts. The system is petty, juvenile law and politics so deadly. 15 years old, known as Big Lovable Teddy. Janet Downing, 42 years old, what's the motive? Killed in her home, young mother devoted. Eddie went in the house, the door was open. She was on the kitchen floor, laying there frozen. Eddie claims this was not what he planned to see. A man with a mask grabbed him. Be quiet. I will kill your whole family. Eddie left the house, ran up the street. Around the corner, washed up in the bathroom at Burger King. Janet was stabbed multiple times. Rest in peace. It was a gruesome murder scene. I agree. Eddie went to his work, said he got jumped, but never said a thing. What? About Janet lying there lifeless, his friend's mother from across the street. Shh, he was in the house. But Janet had a brother-in-law she kicked out for selling drugs. Said if anything ever happened to her, it's him you bring up. The night of the murder he showed up, was acting suspicious in the front yard. Gina and Virginia says he was looking for his keys. It was humid and muggy, but we were showered and needy with.
So, Big Ed.
Yes.
December of 1995, Trisha. Let's just take the moment, okay? So now you had a couple of months. You had about 90 days to process this whole shit. 1995, 30 years ago. He's in DYS. He's in Plymouth, correct? Was he shipped to Plymouth at that time? Was he being held over there still?
Yes.
Yes.
So he was being held in one of the worst DYSs because it was brand new and it was in the jail. Am I correct?
Yes. They were horrible. Yeah.
They were horrible. I heard stories about that place. That was kind of like I kind of aged out at that point. But yeah, I heard about that.
Non-contact visits for 2 years there.
So he's in there. So he's basically he's not a resident like they call him a resident, but it's the inmate mentality because he's on prison grounds. He's in a jumpsuit. He couldn't wear his own clothes. Could he wear his own clothes or no?
I don't think so.
I forget. It was 30 years ago.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. So, but the point is, Janet's gone now. Things are starting to unravel. You're starting to, you already know that you're already obviously on the side of your son, but now things are starting to become clearer. You're starting to look back, hindsight. Right now, you're finding out that your son is going to come home to you. You waited for the Christmas tree, and she granted him the bail. A judge looked over all the evidence. She's seen everything that all the other judges seen. Right? This is a judge. This is a woman in a high position, and she says, "No, I'm letting him go." And what was the bail? How much was the bail? Do you remember?
20,000.
20,000.
20,000.
Yep.
It's not a lot of money for someone who allegedly committed a crime like that. And you heard the parole board. That's the tough part about this, and Eddie knows it too, and everybody knows it's such a.
Randy, was that a parole hearing or was that another trial?
Yeah, it sounded like a trial, right? It did. I mean, no, it was a parole hearing, but I'm saying like that they were judging him for sure. You know what I mean? And they weren't they weren't really giving him. It just sucks about the parole hearing. They just want him to say he did it. That's what they're used to people doing. They're used to people saying, "I'm sorry, I committed this crime," and then they let you go, right? If they're gonna let you go, he's never gonna say he did it, so they're never gonna let him go on parole. That's just factual. But to go back to 1995, so he's coming home on 20,000, right? For this allegedly this horrendous crime. She sees all the evidence. Obviously, she's not sold on it. She sees holes all in it. And she's going to let him go on the bracelet back to the parents. What happens next?
We were all prepared for him to come home. Governor Weld got involved in it and said, this big kid, he's not a kid, he's a guy. And he really
the governor.
This isn't just another kid throwing rocks through the window. He said on the steps of the State House in an interview.
And then we were told that they were appealing to a single justice of the Supreme Court. A single justice. And the single justice, we went into the Supreme Court. We went to the Supreme Court like 4 or 5 times before we even got to trial.
Okay.
And he had no grounds to, they said, we went in. Eddie was waiting at the Cambridge courthouse to come home.
To get released.
It was Mary's birthday, her 3rd birthday. It was just
so they had him waiting to be released, and all the while behind his back, they're in the Supreme Court trying to fucking stop it.
Right.
And
wow.
It was our daughter. It was our daughter Mary's 3rd birthday. We went into the Supreme Court. We were home waiting. Everybody, the whole family was there because the lawyers told us absolutely not. There's no way that they're going to take the bail away. And we got the phone call and they took the bail away.
Yeah, as a matter of fact.
So he drove all the way from Plymouth to Cambridge to be ready for the bail to get raised in Cambridge.
We already paid it.
We already paid the money and everything.
Oh, man.
And then we were waiting for the phone call. Everybody, we had a ton of people at our house. And Bob Lowney, who worked with Bob George, who was a half-decent gentleman. His brother worked at the Supreme Court.
He was a clerk.
He was a clerk. He took the phone call. And here's the grown-ass man. He just started crying. and this is Ed's one of Ed's lawyers. And once I saw the tears coming out, I'm like, are you shitting me? Are you kidding me? He's actually going to bring this to the Supreme Court, a bail hearing? I just couldn't believe it. And Tricia couldn't believe it. It was horrible. Absolutely
And then
horrible.
he got the phone call and it was over.
Yeah.
Eddie was going back to Plymouth. It was
And what was it? And
snowstorm.
what was Eddie like after that? I mean, because at this point, right, like he's got to start losing hope, and you know, and and unfortunately he's got to like adjust to this DYS life, which, you know, to me, I feel like DYS is a little bit tougher than jail in some ways, but that's just my opinion. And what was he like when they took the bail? What
He was very disappointed. He was coming home. He was gonna, you know, it was Christmas. It was Mary's
Yeah.
birthday.
Yeah.
We had
Oh
her
my
cake
God.
that day. And
Have Mom's Christmas dinner, the turkey, with this. You know what I mean?
he just
what
he
date
didn't
was it?
wanna-
What date was it exactly? Do you remember the date?
22nd of December.
Oh my God.
My
Shit.
daughter Mary's birthday.
Oh my.
Yeah, and we didn't
Wow.
get the tree because we knew he was coming home. And we wanted to get the tree when he got home.
There were 13 stipulations for the bail.
Go ahead. You want to name some of them?
Yep, a parent had to be with him at all times. He could not leave the house. He could not contact the family. He had to take his schooling. He had to go to school. He had to be able to be in front of the
Yeah, they put a camera thing. We had to buy a table
to put the camera
to put this sort of camera on. So what was it? Every 2 hours, he had to take a picture of himself to say that he was home.
and answer the phone. And
It was just crazy. It was like whatever it
whatever
takes.
you want, we'll do.
Just to bring him home, we'll do it. We'll buy the table. You got your money.
He couldn't go out of the house. He could. I
Yeah.
think the only place he could go would be the yard.
Or church, maybe. I
No,
think.
no,
it wasn't even church.
No, it was just the yard, and that was it. He could not leave the house.
So I mean, this was deliberate. I mean, the 22nd of December.
Yeah.
And then and now let's be clear too. So Governor Well does this, right? And Tom Riley is the one who pushed for it. Now
Yep.
Tom Riley is the one, the Middlesex County DA. He is actually the DA of the county, but he's actually the DA who prosecuted the case, right?
Right.
Never happened before.
Never happened before. Now, what was
Just
he
like-
like? What
Just
was
like
he like?
Judge Heffernan being removed from the case. Never happened before. To avoid further controversies.
We didn't even get a hearing for that.
Yeah, Judge Heffernan, they got rid of him. The whole thing, you got to understand. All right, Bob George was just terrible, terrible lawyer. And he took 170 grand from us. He says he was going to put on Michael Badd and he was going to do this. He was going to do that.
He was going to have a DNA expert.
He was going to have DNA, but he
No
never gave
experts.
us shit.
Nothing.
He just took our money and ran.
We
And
didn't
5 years
know-
later, 5 years later, let's be clear, he went to jail.
Yeah.
Right.
The whole thing is, he told us everything that was, I'm gonna have this guy, I'm gonna have that guy, I'm gonna have that, and I'm gonna do this. We're in trial. We're in trial, and he's still telling us this, okay? And the day before the end of the trial, he said, no, he doesn't want to testify. I said, what? What's going on? He didn't call us that night. He didn't answer any phone calls that night or anything. We went into court the next day, and that was it.
But you got to understand also, and I hate to say this, and we're not like this family. I mean, we're a mixed family, but this whole thing started with the super predator bullshit.
Yep.
And they wanted to change the laws in Massachusetts. And what better than a big white Irish Catholic altar boy whose grandfather was the ex-chief of police of Somerville to change the law in Massachusetts to screw all the kids in Dorchester, Mattapan, and Roxbury. That's what it was all about. And they would say anything, do anything to change these laws. Riley had his whole political career at stake because I made the comment that this son of a bitch was going to ride our son's coattails to become Attorney General and eventually governor. And he said, "Oh no, I'm happy where I am." 2 weeks after the conviction, he put his papers in to become Attorney General.
Did he become Attorney General?
Yes.
Wow.
And he went for governor.
And then he ran for governor, but he picked the wrong lieutenant governor that owed back taxes for years. So that kind of put him at a disadvantage. But
Now, was your father alive during this whole time? Did he make it through to see all this? No.
no, he only lived
The transfer hearing.
from April. He died in April of '96.
Scout, what would you have done if you were the
And
The whole thing is the lies that they told, the evidence that they hid.
So they hid a lot of. There's a lot of evidence that's hidden that he's going to bring out in this appeal. Now, keep in mind, he did the direct appeal right when you first initially get
Right.
convicted.
yeah,
You got 60
Elizabeth
days.
Lunt.
You got 60 days to present it. He did
Yeah.
that, and he waited all the way until now. Now, did the law change? The juvenile law changed for him. It changed also again in 2023 for anybody under the age of
Right.
18.
20.
Now it's 20. Yeah, 20 and under now, right?
Yeah.
But it's so now in 2013 the law changed 18. So when he was 17, he got convicted in 97. 17 years old, he goes straight to Walpole State Prison. Correct?
Well,
Yeah.
he went to Concord for 6 days.
6 days. So usually, I mean, unless you know better than, but he went to Concord, and usually when they send someone to Concord, they're there for like 6 months.
Yeah, he went from there to Walpole.
Yeah.
He was there for 6 days.
Yeah, they tried to do
And
him
then
in.
me and Trisha were driving up to Concord to visit him,
And they
and
shipped
we had the
him.
radio on. They said they just transferred Eddie O'Brien to Walpole,
Mhm.
and it was saying, "What? You got to be shitting me."
Well, see, that's the thing. But that's the thing that people got to understand. If Eddie didn't have strong paperwork to show people, to say, and the good thing about it, right? The only good, I mean, I don't want to say the wrong thing, but the only good part about him being in DYS is that there was probably a couple people in Walpole that he knew from DYS or knew somebody and helped them get through that, navigate through Walpole, because the word was already out that he was being framed up, and
Right.
he had the paperwork to prove it, because with them type of charges, he wouldn't have lasted 5 minutes in Walpole State
No,
Prison.
absolutely
No,
not.
he wouldn't.
You know?
And you got to understand too, with the blood, they took, I think, 2 or 3 vials of blood from him,
Hmm.
which we absolutely believe they sprinkled some of that blood on items, because who sends? How many items were there?
I think there were like 6 items that went down
To
to
Quantico,
Quantico.
FBI lab in Quantico.
And we didn't find out. It was taken from the crime lab in December of 95.
Yep.
It wasn't received by the FBI until January 22nd,
Yeah.
after Mary Kate McGilvery, who was from the crime lab, stated that she sent it down there. So it was over a month. We don't know where it was.
No chain of custody.
No chain of custody.
No chain of custody. Yep.
Nothing.
I read that.
It stayed down there for 6 months. No testing was done, and then sent back. Okay. Then all of a sudden, new items went down to Selmark. So why didn't he test the same items?
Right.
Because
Why don't you explain what Selmark is?
Selmark is
DNA diagnostic company.
laboratory. Yeah.
Okay.
So it comes back from the FBI, again, no chain of custody.
Yeah.
He switches up the items and he sends them to Selmark, which he's pretty friendly with. And why would you do
Thomas
that?
Riley.
Tom Riley, yeah. Why would you do that?
And the FBI supposedly has no record of it ever going down there.
Because we put a Freedom of Information Act in, and they said that it never came here. So where was it for 6 months?
That's crazy.
you know, and they had his blood. And believe me, as you well know, with the Karen Reed thing and all that stuff, these guys in the CPAC unit, they'll do anything. They don't care.
The whole thing too is the chemist from the state crime lab, Pino, he was fired. And also Mary Kate McGilvery, who did the testing, she was fired from the crime lab. Both of them were fired from the crime lab.
Who said it was Ed's blood?
She she said he couldn't be excluded.
Yeah, he couldn't be excluded. That's what he said.
Right.
That's what the big saying is.
Well, what about that? Can you guys speak to the blood that was allegedly on the dress?
That wasn't his.
It wasn't his.
It wasn't his.
So
They said
the blood on the dress, they said it said it didn't come back to him. The blood on the dress.
it wasn't DNA tested.
Yeah, the pink dress, that wasn't his.
That wasn't
No, that was
DNA.
hanging on a clothesline, allegedly.
Right.
Down the cellar.
Right.
Yeah. Now, what about the blood that was behind the cab? Was that ever tested?
Well, we're not going to talk more
Okay,
about the blood.
that's fine.
It
That's fine.
was tested, but it wasn't DNA. Nothing was DNA tested.
Okay. So what
Except
about the? So there was a hair. And like I said, I don't want to.
Yeah.
People can Google this stuff, and you guys can make your own assessment.
Right.
And we could talk about it when they're not on the show, ladies and gentlemen. We can break this. So much to talk about. I have a lot of information, and I don't want to disrespect Eddie, and sure don't want to little Ed, and sure don't want to disrespect his parents. So, but there was a piece of hair in her hand, right? Can we agree to that?
There was a clump of hair in her hand.
That's crazy, and they never tested it.
That wasn't.
Was that now? Did they bring that up in trial? Like when the trial's going on, because when we talked to Margot, she said they didn't even bring up the DNA under the fingernail or the hair. They just didn't even bring it up.
Thank you, Bob George.
What they said was,
Bob
George, inconclusive. Everything was inconclusive because they didn't know whose DNA it was. It wasn't Ed's. But they said it was inconclusive.
And you're going to also realize they found a hilt of a knife on the stairs.
Yep.
It had Janet's DNA on it and a male DNA on it.
Another one.
But it wasn't Ed's.
But it wasn't Ed's.
It wasn't, and they said that was inconclusive, even though he was excluded.
No, they said it was inconclusive. So they said that at trial that it was inconclusive, even though he was excluded.
Excluded, right.
Right.
And his lawyer never corrected him on that.
No.
His lawyer never had any DNA testing done.
Right.
We were told everything was going to be done. We were told so many things.
Yeah.
We were told DNA testing. They were going to test the hair. It's awful funny. Jimmy Mills came out.
Investigator.
He was one of the first investigators that was with Maria Curtatone and Ralph Ciampa. And
that was one of his lawyers, right? Maria Curtatone. Right. She was out of Somerville. I remember her.
Yeah.
I love her.
Yeah, she's cool.
And what happened was Jimmy Mills, the investigator, said there was a clump of hair in her hand. And it's awful funny. Here it is in August, and all of a sudden Artie gets his hair cut really, really short. Had hair regular all June.
Hold on a minute. Hold on. I'm sorry, Trisha. We do a thing called taking it up to 39,000 feet. Okay. So you're saying there was a clump of hair in her hand in July of 1995, and in August of 1995, our boy Artie got a haircut?
Yep.
Hey, we're not saying he did it.
No, we ain't saying that. We taking it up to 39,000 feet again. We got to take him up. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Goddamn, Adi.
We're not saying he did it, but you know.
Be clear, we're not saying anybody did anything. Be clear, disclaimer, this is all entertainment purposes. We are not saying anybody did anything, but we're just saying what happened. That's all. Just like Adi lost his key. And that's it. Like at the end of the day, that's what happened, right? Adi lost his key. And that's just a fact. But yeah, and we'll just leave it at that. But yeah, wow. So that's a clump of hair in the hand. They never tested it. Would you believe it? That must be dry. That's crazy. That's really troubling to me.
And that's the whole thing. 30 years, people thought myself and Trisha were crazy. But we knew. I mean, we knew that a guy like McCreary, an ex-FBI I don't know if you're familiar with John Douglas.
No, not off the bat.
He's the guy that started the BAU at the FBI. He went to and interviewed
The Mind Hunters.
the mine hunters. He went and interviewed 100 serial killers. He started the whole profiling with the FBI. And I talked to him, and he's got many books out, movies, he's the guy in The Silence of the Lambs. He was supposed to be the guy that was the head of the department there. So this guy's no joke. He started it all. And I talked to him for an hour. I talked to everybody all over this world, believe me. And he said that McCreary was nothing but a joke. And he'd be more than happy to come down to Boston and testify against him. We told Bob George that. And Bob George says, oh, great, I'll get in contact with him. We'll get him in here. Never contacted him.
Never did.
Someone has a question. What the duck? She's one of our mods, right? She says, I know. Let me give you some questions, people. If you guys got some questions for our guest tonight, Big Ed and Mom Dukes, aka Trisha, Eddie's parents. Great people, man. Fun guests too. If you have any questions, super chat's the best way, but I'll try to get to anybody's questions. But what the duck says, I know they can't give details, right? So let's say that right off the bat. But has Eddie told them who the person in the house was? That's just a question. You don't have to answer it.
We won't answer that.
We can't answer.
All right. Free Kelsey says, I'm sorry. One more question. Have you ever reached out to an organization like the Innocence Projects or Adult Life?
We're working with them. We were just, at the State House with them, was it a week ago? We're very involved with the Innocence Project.
We did the, they do a run, we do a walk. It was up in Lexington, the Exoneree. And it's Lisa Kavanaugh that runs the program, the Innocence Project. And she was raising money, because everything costs a lot of money. Ed has two lawyers.
Well, that's what we did for Karen Reed, right? This movement that, a lot of these people that are watching you tonight are all free Karen readers, and they raised a lot of money for Karen. And that's what, and when I started this channel based on the corruption of Massachusetts, and Karen Reed obviously was a perfect subject. It was a front row seat of it. But now here we go. We rewind time a little bit, go 30 years and let everybody know, like we've been saying, the Commonwealth is a common thief. They've been fucking playing with people, railroading people from Oak Grove all the way to Forest Hills, if you know what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying.
And that's one of these examples. Free Kelsey says, thank you for speaking to us. You are both amazing people, and I am sorry you have lived this hell. I am praying for you. Has Eddie been granted an appeal, hearing, or has he not filed, been heard? Has it been heard yet?
He's working on that right now as we speak. He's got two lawyers, and hopefully we've asked for a third lawyer that's very well known in Boston, and it should be filed, we're hoping, within a 4 or 5 month period.
Nice.
We also have a DNA expert that came on pro bono.
Yeah, pro bono. He actually read the thing and he said, no.
He actually taught a class. He works in, he used to be down in Florida. He was the DNA expert down there. That's where he was. Once he retired from there, he came up, and he's a professor in Pennsylvania. He's at Pennsylvania. And he read Ed's book, and he actually did courses on it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Girl,
But we've been blessed. We've really been blessed because
yes.
a lot of people have helped us. And a
Well,
lot of
people don't like corruption, and people know that, like you said, like if a CPAC unit wants to throw some blood on some things to sweeten up the pot, they will. You know
They
what I
will.
mean? Once you're in the scope, you're in the scope, and
Yeah.
and that's just what it is. Girl Ryan says for $9.99 says, Miss O'Brien, I'm sending a virtual hug. You're a strong woman and a great mom.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I don't know if you
That
can
means
see what's on her shirt.
this was made by Stephen Pina.
Nice.
He got exonerated.
He got well, he was let home. He spent 28 years in jail, and he did not do what they said he did. And that's what he always says.
Wrongful convictions.
Wrongful
Nice.
convictions. We know Sean Ellis. He
Yep,
knows.
Sean. Yep,
he
Sean. Yep.
knows. We just met Eddie Wright, who was in with Ed.
42 years
42
he spent
years.
in jail.
He was
Innocent man.
in Springfield.
Wow.
There's so many
You have no
men
idea.
out here that give us hope, because we didn't have this 30 years ago. We didn't have this 20 years ago. And now we get to.
Well, now you got us. Now you got us.
Absolutely. And this is what will help more people get out. You know,
Yeah.
they say, I've always heard the CO say, well, I said, well, how do you feel? Because, some of these people didn't do it. And they're one of them said to me, well, they must have done something. I said, not my son. He came in at 15 years old. He didn't do anything.
Right.
And like most, like Ed, and probably 50% of the inmates belong in the minimum prison because of the time they put in. But they're going to pay, each inmate, let's just say, costs the state $80,000 to keep them in a medium. They put them in a minimum, it's $30,000.
Right.
It's all about the money with the Department of Corrections.
Yeah.
You know what their budget is every year?
Go ahead, tell them.
$900 million.
God damn.
Almost
got
$1
Norman-
billion.
We got Norman Corey coming in, mom and dad, over 500 people in the chat that love you too. God bless both of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
We got Rose D, always making it rain. She says, is the evidence from the scene, like the hair, still available?
Well, we made sure that the lawyers put in that everything had to be held. So we're hoping. When COVID happened, Eddie put in a Freedom of
preserve it.
Information Act, and he
Yep.
got a lot of handwritten notes
Mhm.
from the DA, from chemist, from the technician. And that's where we found a lot of evidence there that's what we're actually going in on too, because they lied so much.
As long as Danny Dukin didn't get it.
Right. What the duck, Ahmad? What the duck says, is there somewhere we could donate to help them with the funds? So do you guys got a donation set up? And if you don't, when you do, we'll help promote it on this channel for sure.
Well, thank you.
Margot did start. That's why she wrote the book, and all the proceeds from the book.
Maybe we could start it. Maybe we could start it for you. We got some great mods. We could start it. I can have maybe What the Duck. Her name is Lori. Her real name's Lori, or Natalie. She runs the mod. She helps with the chat. Sometimes we get assholes in the chat, and they just take them out of the chat. Part of my language.
We're used to it.
Yeah, you know how it goes.
Skin.
Sometimes, yeah. So don't we? But we got 527 people, so I can have one of my mods reach out to you. Before they do, I'll let you know, and maybe they could set something up and you guys could coordinate it, and then every night we'll see what we can make to go towards the lawyer. Like I said, Nan Gallagher, she's about to get her license. I don't know how she feels about this, how deep she wants to get into, but knowing her, she's watching, she got her eye on it, so that might be something she might be interested in too, so we'll see.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
And
Thank
listen, you guys are always invited up to our house. You can
that's
always
awesome.
email us. We'll give you our address.
That's great.
And if you want to
But
come
don't
up.
give it to Addie.
Yeah.
No. We're not giving nothing to that dude.
But yeah, no, I'm not kidding you. You guys
Hey,
are
listen,
always
before-
invited to our house. You can meet our daughters, meet our grandkids, meet
That's
our
awesome.
extended family
I
anytime.
appreciate that. That's awesome.
Okay,
Do
Blind
you have any
spot.
other questions?
Yeah, blind
Kev,
spot. Hold on one second.
there's
Blind.
no smoking in the house though.
Yeah, no
Oh,
shit,
man,
right?
no problem. Goddamn.
Yeah, yeah. Don't worry, he'll sit in his car and smoke a pack.
Yeah.
O'Brien. Blind spot says, O'Brien's, do you know where Paul Jr. is today? May God bless your family. That's a question. You don't have to answer that, but that was.
We have no idea. I mean, the last time we saw him was at the parole hearing, and before that, I haven't seen him in a long, long time.
Yeah.
You know, I have no
I
idea.
have a question.
Go ahead, James. Go ahead, brother.
So, Mr. O'Brien,
Yes.
Eddie O'Brien Sr., there was a lot of people in the Middlesex County that said that Eddie took this. Now, this is a disclaimer. This is just what jail, was going around the jails at the time. That Eddie took the blame for someone in the family. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, well, they always say, oh, the father might have did it. This one, hey, believe me, 30 years later
No, we heard
I
that.
knew what was going to happen, I would have cut my hand and bled all over the house.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know what I mean? I would have took the rap in 2 seconds.
Well, it's funny that you say that because that's what I mean. It was all misconstrued information. Like
Right.
the way it got funneled around, especially at that time, it was like it was always there was somebody else, but no one knew who that person was. And sometimes your name would get dropped because it's funny because me and James did a live probably like last year, probably like 18 months ago, 13 months ago. And someone jumped in the chat and mentioned Eddie's name and said how guilty he was. And me and James started talking about it. And we were like, nah, we heard different. We heard he's not guilty. And we're like, we got to check in. I was like, man, and then I said to James, I'm like, they just passed that law. I'm like, he's got to be up for parole. This was this is right around the time he was going up for the parole. So then we turned around on it and made a U-turn and started talking about it again. But yeah, you heard so many different things, but now we know exactly what's going on. I think this Karen Reed case opened up everybody's eyes to corruption. I mean, you got, just think about it. December 22nd of 1995, they give him a bail, $20,000. They drive him in the back of a sheriff's van from Plymouth to Cambridge. The bail's already paid. He's about to come home, and the lawyer and the governor go to the Supreme Court and cancel it. Like, what does that tell you? You know what I mean? What does that tell you?
Corruption.
That tells you a lot.
They're corrupt. It's as simple as that. They're all corrupt. As
They
you well know.
They don't care. They don't care who did it. They don't care that Janet was hurt. They don't care. They just want to win. They just want to have their names up there. They want to go for higher office. They don't care.
And I'll tell you one last story.
Go ahead, brother.
Well, I'll tell you too. This is how much they hated us. Me and Tricia would hold hands while we were in court. Bob Lowney, one of the lawyers, come up to us and said, Judge Wilkins says, if you people keep holding hands. Not Wilkins, Judge, what the hell? McDaniels. If you keep holding hands, he's going to bounce you out of court.
Wow.
You're getting more sympathy than the victim's family. And we grabbed each other's hand. We put them up in the air. Go ahead, throw us out of court. You were on national TV. How's that going to look?
Right.
And it just got so. It was just, and of course he
just run the DNA. You got the hair. You have the fingernail. Right. Run it, and let's see what you come up with, and then we could talk. You know what I mean? That's the bottom line, right?
Here we go again. Run the DNA. You know what I mean?
Run the DNA.
The whole thing is, we had 4 daughters at home.
Mr. and Mrs. O'Brien, I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. Back then, you had to put the VHS in to rewind it. Now, everybody just comes.
We did. We still have some.
You guys have been dealing with this 30. Well, I'm sure you do. And 30 years later, how does it feel as 2 parents to raise a child from 15 on incarcerated?
Well, you got your good days, you have your bad days. He's been to every prison in the state except for one. We've bounced around everywhere. We have 4 daughters. We have, like I say, almost 8 grandchildren now. You can't let it get you. You can't let your hope just dissipate. You just got to keep moving forward. No matter what happens, you just got to keep moving forward. Because most people that are in jail this long, first they start losing their friends for visits, then their cousins, and then their brothers and sisters. And eventually their parents won't even come visit them.
Oh, they passed away.
You know what I'm saying? So we've never given up. He gets visits every week. He sees all his nieces and nephews. The babies go down there and visit him. So he calls us every day. So you can't lose hope, and you gotta have faith in God.
The whole thing is
Facts.
The whole thing is
Facts.
if he had done this, our hearts would have been broken.
Well,
We
guess
wouldn't
what?
have been able to make it through.
Let me just say
Okay.
this, right? I don't want to kill that moment, but this is pretty good. Former Governor Weld, guess where he lives? He lives in Canton.
Anton, there you
Wow.
go.
God damn.
All right, there you go. Yeah, I had to testify at the State House a few weeks ago about the DOC visitations. And who do I see come out of there? Was Governor Weld.
Wow.
And people grabbed me and said, don't say nothing. Don't do nothing. And I'm like,
But he's
an
he
old
looks,
man, old frail man.
An old
And
frail man. Yeah, and that's how it is. It's funny because there was this cop that used to beat us up when we were young, right? You know, we did some things, right? But I mean,
Yeah.
it's back to what you said, you know, how you had restraint. You was a neighborhood guy, you know, some of us did some stupid shit, but you didn't beat up at 40 or 35, you didn't beat up a 14-year-old. These cops, they took liberties with us, beating the shit out of us, right? And
I
it's like,
know.
damn, we did do some shit, you know, we did do some dumb stuff, but man, some of the beatings we got, man, it was kind of bad. But so I'm at Planet Fitness one time, like 2 a.m, a late night, right? And who do I see? I see this old, frail man on a treadmill. And I said, oh my God, look who it is. It's this guy from back in 1995 that used to smack us in the face and spit on us. So I jumped on the treadmill next to him and started jogging with him. I'm like, hey, what's up, Officer Griffin? How you been? How's that hip? It doesn't look too good, huh? You know, and he's just looking at me, and I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm like, man,
He must have shit though.
I'm like, calm as a bitch, huh, bro? Look at the way, you know, you aged, man. You're all beat up, but you know, whatever, you know, but still, you know, I think about some of the stuff we did, and you know, but they, like you said, it was a time, that space and time. And it's funny because Eddie, he was growing up opposite of it, even though he was still, you know, in Somerville, that old neighborhood, you know, life that, you know, it was back then. Everybody's on the porches, and he could just walk down the street and be in Union Square and get jumped like he did. So he wasn't an exception. You know what I mean?
Nope.
Although he went to, you know, he was in Catholic school, it didn't matter. All you got to do is take a left and a right, and you're in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
But still, you know, you did your best to keep him away from that. And here he is, and he he had to live through that, you know. So it's pretty crazy, and it's awesome that he's thriving. It's the best as he can. You know what I mean?
Hey, you heard the shooter.
You heard the shooter. But in closing, let me just say this, right? What would you like to say, if you would like to say anything? What would you like to say? What would you speak to Janet about her passing, or to her family? Because, you know, that's something that you brought up, how people are trying to say you're overshadowing their, you know, their sorrow. And it's more about Eddie. It's not about Janet. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Well, you know, it is what it is. I'm sorry, but you know, hey, they've made the GoFundMe pages. They've put a lot of stuff on the internet against us. So they haven't been as quiet as you think.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So I feel bad for some of them in there, but they've attacked us for years.
Well, what about Janet, though? You're trying to get justice for Janet.
Oh, Janet. Oh, definitely. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Justice for Janet, because Janet did not deserve I mean,
anything.
to get brutalized like that, it was horrible.
She was a good person. She was a loving person. She was a caring person. If you asked Janet her honest opinion, she would give it to you. And I'll tell you right now, if she felt uncomfortable or anything
Yeah.
around little Ed, she would have come over and talked to us. Because you know what? She was a good person and she would have been looking out for little Ed.
Yep.
That's what she would have done. She was looking out for little, I mean,
Well, that's the thing I wanted to say also. If Janet, for 1 second, and I would imagine anybody that felt uncomfortable, or they give hints out or whatever, she would have been right over our house talking to us. And no, she's on the porch with Gina talking about someone else.
Mhm. Right. And we'll get into that when you guys are off screen. But yeah, for sure. Um, listen, you guys got how about you, Kevin? You got any last questions or anything to say to Big Ed and
You
Trisha?
know, I want to just thank you, for coming on and sharing your thoughts and what's happened, over the course of the past 30 years. And I mean, I just want to tell you, I'm, you two have been through so much, and to see, where you are today, this is what's helped with this fight. I mean, you don't see parents that, they go through a tragic thing and things happen and it just, you have those bad days, and it's sometimes they're more than just 1 or 2 days. And the love I see between you two, it speaks volumes. I mean, we see what you're doing for your son, and, just keep at it. You know what I mean? Like you said, you can't let the hope fade away. You cannot,
It will
the
either
truth will
destroy
come
you
out.
or make you tougher and make you, me and Trisha, 30 years ago with all this stuff, we could have, just dissipated.
Mm-hmm.
But we stuck together. Our love grew stronger, and that's that.
That's
And,
right.
and
What a-
we're with each other until the day we die.
they
I
wanted
love
to,
it.
they wanted to tear this family apart.
Mm.
They
Well, let me
wanted to
tell you
tear it
something. I
apart.
mean, we see how strong your family is,
Mhm.
and Eddie
Well,
Jr.
I
he
feel
gets
that God got the whale on this, because the way it unfolded, the way we started talking about Eddie O'Brien, because it's always been a thing. Like I said, I met Ed. Ed probably don't remember, but it was like, it was one of those, "What's up, man?" I see we was
Yeah.
he was on the 20th floor. I think where they in the kitchen. They lived on I think they lived on the
Yeah,
19th.
20th floor of the
Yeah,
kitchen.
yeah. So he was on the
19th,
20. Yeah, he lived on the 9th.
1920.
Was
He
the
lived on the
Yeah.
19th?
well, he lived on the 19th, but the 20th was the kitchen was. But I would see him in the mornings, and he looked like, when he was wearing the white suit, he looked like a cop, man. He's so big and shit.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like, it was like, God damn, you know what I
He
mean?
yeah.
filled,
But
he
it's like
filled the doorway. It was
yeah, he's
crazy.
just a
But
big dude, man, with the big baby face. You know what I
you
mean?
guys have an open invitation. Ed wanted to know. You come down and visit him, and he'll talk to you more, and he'll probably give you more information than
Yeah,
we gave you.
yeah,
But you
yeah,
should go visit him.
yeah. We will. We're definitely gonna
We
do that.
definitely
That's
will.
definitely
We
in the
definitely
plans.
will.
But I just want to say that, this case, when I say it's God's plan, because we're all into God. Everybody on this panel, including yourself, we believe in God. Like, the way it just took off and the way it just unfolded fast, and it was effortless. You know what I mean? And like it moved. This is part. I think I named this part 8. But in part 8, we're talking to the parents. We already talked to Eddie. We talked to his friend. We talked to Adi. We talked to Gina. Like boom, 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 like real fast.
Yeah,
Usually things don't move that fast, you know what I mean? And they
yeah,
did. And all I did was sit back and just let God take the wheel and get the story out. And more and more, we're seeing what really happened here. And it's a great parallel, because the Karen Reed case was blaming on the girl. And
right.
guess what? Blame it on the kid, right?
Yeah,
So it's the same situation. CPAC, Tom Riley, Middlesex County DA, Morrissey, Norfolk County DA, same
yeah,
type of situation. Political shit. politics as usual in Massachusetts. And with that, I just want to say, Big Ed and Tricia, we appreciate you coming on. You guys can come back anytime, answer any more questions, or come up and hang out anytime you want. And we appreciate you being here. And we'll talk to you guys very soon for sure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
And,
very
and,
much.
and it always stands. You're always
Thank you.
invited here anytime you guys want to come up.
Absolutely. I got
appreciate
you.
that.
I got your email and your number. We'll talk soon. Okay, Ed?
All right, you
Thank
guys
very
take it
much.
Thank
easy.
you, Ed.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate
Thank you.
everything.
Peace and love. Get
Thank
some
you,
sleep.
All
Mr.
right.
and Mrs. O'Brien.
Peace.
Bye-bye now. You
Take
take care, guys.
Bye-bye.
Peace. Awesome interview.
Take care.
Awesome interview. You guys want to take it for a second, man? I gotta go do something real quick. I gotta take a
Yeah,
quick
I'll
break.
tell you. I mean, I just, like I was just saying. I mean, I
Go ahead,
just,
Kevin.
I all, the utmost respect for the parents. I mean, they've been through a lot, and I meant to say something to Ed Senior. I mean, Ed's a junior. I mean, that's his boy. And they got the same name. And he wanted to see his kid, rise to the top with everything he pushed for, and it's just a tough situation when you know that things are wrong, and it just keeps getting worse, and you can't do nothing about it. Being a parent, with the courts and the rulings, and getting all the railroads and the stop signs, and it's just, as a parent, you're supposed to be able to protect and guide your kids, and he's got to try to navigate all this with his son behind bars. I mean, it's just a tough thing, and I see it, that it's very discouraging the way this the investigation went, the politics being involved. Just goes to show you that, we put a lot of trust in communities and politicians. I mean, we're the ones that our vote matters, our voice matters when these people are running for all these positions, and we put our trust in them to serve justice and treat people fairly, and we see it. It's just it was fucked up 2 years ago, and it was fucked up 30 years ago too. It's been going on a long fucking time.
I mean, Kev, you said it right there. I think back in that time, 30 years ago, we had trust in our police force. We had trust in anybody that was held to a higher standard. We had trust in them and faith in them, not to have a corrupted system and not to have all that. I seen Eddie's mom wearing a wrongful conviction shirt tonight, and that brand also goes along with Bliss and all those guys that were wrongfully convicted. And Eddie may just be one that hasn't got out of the system yet, but I think, like JFK said, and it was perfect, it's in God's hands and it's in God's time. Speaking on this whole situation now is going to bring awareness to something that maybe wasn't so much awareness brought to it 30 years ago. And that's all we can do, fighting corruption.
Facts. I mean, that's what we said this from the jump. It's funny because I got that video where we talked about it. You probably don't even remember because we talk about so much on here. But me and you would talk, someone mentioned him, and me and you went on like a good 5 minutes about Eddie, talk about how what we said, we heard it was his dad. That's what we said. We were like, yo, but that's what we heard. It's funny you say that because that's what I heard.
That's what,
because we didn't know.
That's one thing that stuck with me.
Yeah, it was like, oh
That's
man,
one thing that
someone
stuck
said
with
it
me.
was
That's
his
why I
dad.
asked him.
Well, because his dad found the body.
Yeah.
The dad found Janet.
Yeah.
So that in the system, that was like the thing, right? but it was just misconstrued information. But
Yeah, but you
And
heard
that's
what
the
you
thing.
heard what he
I
said,
think
though. I
too,
mean,
Jay.
he heard it. Yeah, he heard it back then. I mean,
yeah,
anybody who
He
found
knew. He knew.
it could have been
I mean, he
Barry,
knew
it could have been
exactly what I
Paul
was talking
Senior.
about.
Yeah, he knew. Um,
He
but
knew, but
it's at the end of the day, it's like
I,
it's like Ed been saying that about this DNA. I don't think people really knew the details about this DNA, and and a clump of hair
crazy.
in her hand, and they just never ran the hair. I mean, well, what's going on there? Like, when's the last time you seen someone stabbed 90 times in a brutal murder like that, and in her hand is a clump of hair, and they don't run the hair? Or they did run the hair, but it didn't come back. Well, they didn't run the hair, but they in the DNA or whatever didn't come back to Eddie, but they didn't bring that up. They said it was inconclusive. No, what they said it didn't exclude him. And then his lawyer never said, no. That's not what it didn't. It wasn't him. You know what I mean? They try to make it like a light blow. Oh, that doesn't exclude him. Remember, I kept talking about the DNA, Kevy. Like there had to be a reason in trial. Like how the hell did they get past that? And that's how they got past it. They slipped it in like that. Oh, there's DNA under the fingernail. We ran it, but it didn't exclude him. No. It wasn't him. And his lawyer didn't fight that.
Right.
They hit him with a soft blow, like, well, it didn't exclude him, but it wasn't his, but it could be his. We don't know whose it is. And they just overlooked that one point. And the fact is, it did exclude him.
exactly. And all he need, and you see what happened with his lawyer. I mean, obviously,
he wants to come up here. He wants to talk to us.
Yeah.
Newsflash.
Who was
We're
his
about to get
lawyer at the time?
a dude named Robert George, man. What do you call it? He knows he's friend of the jerks, and he wants to come on the show.
Okay.
He just got reinstated. Would you believe it?
God damn.
Yeah, his name is let me see his name. Yeah. What did he say?
Robert
Yeah, his
George.
name's
That sounds familiar.
Robert George. Robert George. He's been looking into one of his other cases. He covered a decade ago. He realized he was Eddie's attorney. He called me today. So he's been hearing that we're covering the case. He wants to talk. So we're gonna hear what he's got to say and what he feels about Eddie. Does he feel that if he's not guilty, or is Eddie just is Eddie? There's a lot of things that I can read about Eddie right now, which we couldn't get. They didn't want to get into it, which was cool. I'm happy they didn't want to get into it because there was stuff that is just uncomfortable to talk about. Because obviously they believe in their child and they should.
Yes.
Yep. But yeah, yeah. So there's some stuff, man. Blood or whatever. Allegedly, just to bring it back to some questions one of the questions that I had was allegedly Mako. So I'll read this right here to the people. We heard what they had to say. The parents. It was a great interview. But one of the questions that I wanted to ask him and he couldn't answer, and it's going to be in the appeal. And this is on this is court documents. Let me find it. There's a lot. There's a lot of stuff. At approximately 10 p.m. that night, Eddie allegedly walked inside Midnight Variety. He was bleeding. His index finger, his pinky, his thumb. He was wearing shorts and a light colored T-shirt. and keep in mind, there's someone else who testified. A guy said he seen him in the backyard that he had a dark colored shirt on and a white T-shirt underneath. So when everybody talks about the blood on the shirt, like this, these are the things that got him convicted. Be clear, these are the things that got him convicted. Of all the things where you say, how could they just overlook it? Well, there was witnesses saying other things. That's why. The defendant
They would probably persuade too.
Yeah.
I heard his father say that when he went into Midnight Variety, there was a call within 7 minutes of the incident of them being on scene.
What do you mean? What are you talking about?
Well, he said that there was a call about Ed Jr. getting cut.
Yeah, well,
And
Big Ed. Yeah, Big Ed.
Big Ed wanted
was
to
in the
leave the
house.
house.
Yeah, and he
Exactly.
wouldn't let-
And he wanted to leave the house.
that was at 10 p.m.
But you know, I went that way. I went that route to Burger King.
Shortly before 10 p.m. Ryan and but before you just let me break down that timeline. This timeline is like the timeline's everything and everything, right? So he's in the house. Big Ed's in the house, right? So shortly before 10 p.m. So we'll say, I don't know, shortly 9:45. I don't know. Ryan Downing arrived home. As he entered the front door, he noticed the water running in the bathroom at the end of the hall. Ryan then looked into the dining room and saw his mother laying on the floor. He rushed to her side, got on his knees, touched her shoulder. She did not respond. He immediately ran across the street to the O'Brien's house for assistance. The defendant's father called 911. Big Ed. Somerville police officer Joseph Blair was dispatched to 71 Boston Street at 9:55 p.m., arriving in 1 minute. The defendant's father and another neighbor met him outside of the house. Ryan Downing was seated on the steps, sobbing uncontrollably. That's probably right around the town of Virginia and Gina. Officer Blair entered the house and immediately saw blood on the wall, on the stairs leading to the second floor, and blood streaks on the frame of the doorway leading to the dining room. He looked into the dining room and saw Janet Downing laying face up on the floor. A golden retriever was lying next to her. See? These are the things that you don't know. A little puppy, just like your dog, James Jackson. A golden retriever.
Oh,
I know,
goddamn.
but I'm just saying that listen to this. The golden retriever was laying next to her. The dog got up, grabbed Officer Blair's hand in his mouth, led him over to Janet, and sat down next to her again. Like, what?
Man, I'll tell you.
Did you know that? You know what I'm saying?
we didn't
Did
know
you know
that.
that? Well, your man JFK is giving you the news.
God damn.
I'm working too, man.
Lay down
Everybody's
next
fighting.
to her.
Just to let everybody know, everybody's fighting after this show.
So, all right, can I chime in on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, so we had somebody the other night tell us that they went back to the scene 4 hours later to get a cat box and kittens. They never mentioned a dog.
Never. And that's a great. And you know what? You can stick around, Kevy Kev. Yeah. Matter of fact, you're getting a raise.
God damn.
You're getting a raise. Nah, yo, that's crazy. Nah, that's a
you
good
just
point.
got promoted. I know.
Yeah, that's a great point,
Because
right?
I
So
remember
listen,
dude
Officer
talking.
Blair.
Yeah.
So
that's a
Officer
very
Blair
good point.
checked for a pulse on the right side of Janet's neck. As he did so, a gaping wound opened her neck, and he called for assistance. It's crazy. There were drops. So Detective Sergeant shows up. What's his name? Femino arrived and participated in a protective sweep of the house. In the den, he noticed that an ottoman had been overturned. In the front foyer, he saw numerous bloodstains on the carpets, the staircase, and the baseboard and stucco wall across the staircases. Blood near the bathroom where the water was overflowing in the sink. There was blood stains that would appear to be bloody fingerprints on the front door, near the doorknob, lock, and mechanism. There was blood on the front door casing and the backsides of two pictures that appeared to have fallen from the wall. In the dining room, there was a large blood stain on the floor where Janet's body was found. There were blood splatters on the wall, blood streams on the door casings near the dimmer switch. In the kitchen, there were drops of blood on the floor, on the refrigerator, and the doorknob to the door leading to the cellar. I mean, damn. Following the blood trail, Sergeant Firmino saw bloodstains on both walls along the narrow cellar staircase. There appeared to be a fingerprint and blood on a wooden post at the bottom of the staircase. There was some bloodstains on clothing hanging on a clothesline. Behind the clothesline was a door leading to the backyard. The door was partially open. There were smears of blood on the door and the deadbolt lock mechanism. In the backyard, Sergeant Firmino, whatever his name is, encountered heavy underbush, and he received scratches as he walked through it. He picked up a blood trail again on Hamlet behind the Downing house, finding numerous drops of blood on the sidewalk in the direction of Highland Avenue. The blood trail continued down Hamlet Street, crossed over to the other side of the street, and continued to the area near 4 Hamlet Street. Meanwhile, at approximately 10 p.m., this is 9:55, right, when they got there. So right within minutes, right, at 10 p.m., the defendant, Little Ed, walked into Midnight Convenience. He appeared distraught. He was bleeding from cuts, his index finger, pinky, and thumb. He was wearing shorts and a light-colored T-shirt. The store clerk, Frank Golden, asked what happened. The defendant explained he was stabbed when a black male and Hispanic male robbed him. Mr. Golden also noticed scrapes on the defendant's legs. Mr. Golden asked him if he wanted to call the police. At first, the defendant said no, but then agreed. And Mr. Golden, what's the chances that his name's Mr. Golden? There was a golden retriever in the house. I mean, this is crazy. But then he agreed after Mr. Golden asked the second time. Mr. Golden heard the defendant calmly explain to the police that he was at Midnight's Convenience and that he had been jumped. While the defendant waited at Midnight Convenience, Garvey, Seth, Mako, and Mako's father arrived at the store. So the dudes who seen him jump out the bush, they arrive at the store. I don't know how they knew he was at the store, but they arrived at the store. The dude Mako who seen him jump out the bushes looking crazy allegedly and shit, they end up at the store. I don't know if it was just like a coincidence or what.
Now listen,
Let me keep going. Okay, let me keep going. Right? They arrived at the store. They had already been to Boston Street and had heard the news about Janet. Right? Listen. Right? Janet Downing. The defendant appeared shocked. His hands were wrapped, and he had cuts and scrapes on his legs. His shorts were wet. Mako twice asked the defendant if he had heard about Janet, and the defendant did not respond. After he asked him a third time, the defendant responded, "Yeah, I heard." The boys asked the defendant about his injuries, and he explained that he had been attacked by 2 knife-wielding men and that he had cut his legs when he fell to the pavement. Back at 71 Boston Street, investigators soon learned that the defendant reported that he had been robbed and stabbed in Union Square, a short distance away. Because the police now have 2 violent crimes in the same area at the same time, Sergeant James Stanford went to Somerville Hospital to interview the defendant. State Police Trooper Joseph Duggan joined him at the hospital. They requested permission to interview the defendant. His father spoke briefly with the Spoke briefly. The officer saw the cuts on the hand and noticed scratches on his arms and legs. The defendant was calm, alert, and cooperative. The defendant told the officers that he left his house between 7:30 and 8:30 to go to Burger King. He stated that Burger King was crowded, so he continued towards Union Square. According to the defendant, when he reached the firehouse, a black male and a Hispanic male confronted him, demanded his money, and threatened to kill him. The defendant claimed he gave the money to the black man, and the Hispanic man then said, "You saw our face. Now I have to stab you." The man swung at the defendant with a knife, catching the defendant's hand. The defendant said that he fell backwards to the sidewalk, and the men ran off. He was calm as he recounted the story, showing no emotion. The defendant and his father consented to the officer's request to take his clothes, swabbing of the bloodstain they observed on the defendant's right shin. Nurse Diane Roberto swabbed the bloodstain, and the defendant and his father agreed to come to the police station for fingerprinting and to hand over the defendant's clothes. On the way to the station, they stopped at the spot in Union Square near a fire hydrant where the defendant claimed to have been attacked. It was well-lit area across the street from Dunkin' Donuts and a 24-hour store. Automobile and foot traffic in this area at 10 p.m. is heavy. Trooper Duggan, Sergeant Stanford canvassed the area thoroughly with the defendant and found no blood or sign of a struggle. At the police station, the officers conducted a further interview with the defendant after giving him and his father juvenile Miranda rights. The defendant recounted his activities on July 23rd, 1995. Towards the end of the interview, he asked if he or any of the other boys were involved in the murder of Janet Downing. The defendant replied, "Me personally, no." But I can't say about the others. The defendant was not sure how he got the scratches to his arms and legs. Like, bro, I could just keep going, right? That's now keep in mind, he never mentioned that. Now he's with the police, right? He's got to tell that. You heard the parole people talking about that. You guys watched the parole hearing. In the parole hearing, they asked him that. So you seen Janet down, and you got the police in front of you, and you just never mention it. Why? And he said, I don't know why. He said straight up, I don't know why. It was the biggest mistake I made in my life. Well, you got to get over that. You have to get over that. To think that he's innocent, you have to get over that. Is there any, like, what's more? The DNA underneath the fingernails, the hair, the taxi cab. We hear about Paul jumping in the ocean with his clothes on. But then you hear his story that he got cut with a knife. Dude said, I got to cut you.
Well, see, there's where it is. I mean, if we can prove that he did get jumped, or if there was somebody that's seen this, now if he's seen something traumatic and he was spooked and took off, all right, now all of a sudden he's in a confrontation. He just got cut. So, I mean, if the cops were talking to him, they're there to see him about what just happened to him. You follow what I'm saying? I mean, I get what you're saying. Like, I mean, in all reality,
what do you say? Hold on. What do you got to let me know? What are you saying? What do you say? What did you just say?
What I'm trying to say is something, if he went, if he went across the street to see if his buddy wanted to take a walk to Burger King with him.
He didn't say that, though.
I'm just saying to you, he told his father he was leaving to go to Burger King, and he ends up in this house. He probably went to go see if his friend was home, and he walks in, and here he is. He sees this incident. Somebody tells him, hey, don't say a word. I'm going to kill your family. He books it out of there.
That's what he's saying happened.
He books it out of there. He heads down the road. He's scared as shit. He's fucking white as a ghost.
Well, you heard what he said on scene. He said, I had nothing to do with it, but I can't speak for the other boys. So the other boys wouldn't be EDIE. The other boy would be. So you got 15 minutes, but you got to keep in mind, Paul Jr., if you're going to put the blame and point to him, Paul Jr. showed up with Jeannie, dropped off the car to Trisha's sister, right? And gave the car back or whatever. And they jumped in Michelle's car to go back to the beach. So he went in there for 15 minutes and all that blood's everywhere. And he jumps in the car with them and they go to the beach. Right? Yep. After he just did that to his mother. If that's what he did, if it's EDIE's outside looking for a key. Where's the key? Where's the key? Where's the key? I need the fucking key. Right? And then you got Eddie down the street talking about, two black dudes and a Hispanic dude robbed me for $2 and sliced my hand. And I got stabbed, and ironically, she got stabbed 90 times, and I'm stabbed. And I mean, what do you believe, right? It's like it's a tough. This case will have you fucking losing your mind. But the thing is, run the DNA. Run the DNA. I guess that's where you're at that point.
You know what I wanted to bring up is that
I mean, we've come so far. We've come so far with DNA.
But they had the DNA. I know we come so far, but the crazy part about it is they could have ran it back then. And they could have got whoever it was back then. I mean, but he did say in his parole hearing, but he did drop something in that parole hearing was if you really listened, and I didn't speak on it, that he said there was issues with running the DNA with the Innocence Project because the people are not in the database. Well, that's not EDIE's in the database. They took EDIE's DNA. But who's not in the database? Paul Jr.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
He's also a twin brother.
Yeah, I mean, regardless, that's different DNA. They ain't got the same DNA. They don't got the same DNA. I don't think that's the way that works.
If they were identical twins, they definitely could.
The same DNA, dude. If that's the case, then I mean, I don't think so.
If they were
man, the
identical
DNA.
twins, my man.
You sure about that, man? What do you got? Hold on a second. You got a doctor's fucking badge on
God
right
damn,
now?
bro.
You a scientist, dude?
God damn.
Shit.
God damn, man. You got my
God
scrubs on
damn.
and
Oh, so not so okay. So blind spot saying identical twins have the same DNA. Well, there you have it. Well, that sucks for fucking his brother.
There you go.
It sucks. Well, the point is,
It sucks. Oh, shit.
well, I mean, do you think? I
God
mean,
damn.
I'm just saying. Do you think that could be a reason why they didn't take his? You know, I mean, but then again, you got all them people live in the house.
no, but I'm saying that was kind of like if you listen to what he said that my beef with the Innocence Project was running the DNA, and if they ran it, they wouldn't get a match because you don't have the person that I know whose DNA it is. That's what it sounded like to me.
Yep.
Like I know who it is, but I'm not going to tell you who it is. But if you run the DNA, you're going to find it, but you're not going to find it because that person DNA, he hasn't been swabbed, but Adi's been swabbed. So then does that take Adi out the picture now? That's based on what he said at the parole hearing. I'm not trying to put words in his mouth, but that's the little thing I picked up on that. Because they asked him why did in the Innocence Project, why didn't that go, like, why'd they back off your case? Or like, why did you guys, whatever it might have been. And he goes like, well, because they wanted to do it this way. And I was like, well, no, we need, that's not going to work for me. Because he only gets one shot at doing this. You know what I mean? It's not like the dude they take the DNA and it comes back to nobody and they say, all right, we'll just wait. Nah, he already did enough time. He's done wasting fucking time. Don't you think? You know what I'm saying? 30 years later, you think the dude wants to do another fucking hour? You feel me? So he's got to get it right. So that's what I picked up. I could be wrong. Disclaimer. I could be dead wrong what I'm saying. I'm just saying that's what it's because Paul Sr. was talking, about how he beat up his mother. Why don't you speak to that?
Yeah. I mean, he was talking about how she was upset. She found a set of keys, said, oh, I heard you got a lover in another city, blah, 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 and, he took, he went nuts over it. He what was he kicking his mother and shit? He was kicking her,
What's going on with Carol? What's going on with this Carol in the chat? Is this Carol, what do you call it, wife? What is she saying? Carol, don't you care about who killed your sister?
Who told you?
Oh, so this is her sisters in the chat? Someone tell me what Carol said. Like what should I
Hold on, she just wrote something.
Yeah, well, she's answering a lot of people. I want to know the whole thing. People are thinking it's Adi's ex.
Better not be Adi. He's got these fucking.
I mean, you got to be a special individual to kick your mother. Well, you know what I'm saying, man. I'm not putting no blame on nobody. I'm just saying you got to be a special kind of individual to put hands on your mom. So if you're telling me this dude put feet to his mom, that's what you just said?
What you wasn't? So what were you doing?
Kev?
What were you doing? What were you at the fucking gym? Fucking swimming? You didn't hear the
I was
interview?
just doing legs, but
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that's what Eddie
listening.
O'Brien said. He told the story. God damn, man. Yeah, he told the story.
Shit.
So Paul Jr. beat up his mother, and Janet told Paul Jr. beat up Janet, and Janet told Eddie, Big Ed, to talk to him. And Ed took him back in the backyard and gave him the riot act. Like, listen, what are you, a fucking idiot? What are you doing? So, I mean, I'm just going on. I'm going on that, and I'm just thinking, like, we talk about Adi, but then there's Paul. But then you would say within that 15 minutes, he went in the house for 15 minutes. He did that to his mother, and then he leaves, and he jumps in the car with Jeannie and their friends. They go to the beach. Allegedly, he jumped in the water with all his fucking clothes on. Now, Paul, if you're out there watching, why'd you jump inside the ocean with all your clothes on in a heat wave, 100 degrees in 1995? Why would you do that with all your clothes on? With your sneakers and everything. That's the word. That's kind of weird. You're at
Damn.
the beach. It's not like you jumped off a dock or something. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're at the
Right.
beach.
Or
You could have put
push.
shit.
Or
Like, you could have.
pushed in the water.
It's not like the Mounties. Yeah, it's not like
Fucking
the
ran in
Mounties are coming.
I mean, I'm saying he could have put his clothes to the side and undressed and came back. Why would he want to be soaking wet? Why would you? So then what happened after, though? So he jumped in with all his clothes. Did he undress in there? Like, what did he ditch the clothes after? Did he walk around with the soaking clothes? And so all of it is all speculation. You know what I mean? Like, maybe he just jumped in the water. He did a weird thing. People do weird shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fucking weird.
Yeah, but then you got to say when he got out the water, then what did he do? He hung out with his friends with if the clothes had blood on it.
Think about it. He walked through the sand with his sneakers and shit, and it was felt all nasty. Come on, man. Fuck, that's what we do. Pull the weirdo move, bro.
But what I'm saying is, did he take the shit off after, or did he continue his night in this wet clothes that he alleged that possibly could have killed his mother in?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm in the fucking twilight zone. This shit's getting crazy. I don't know what.
Yeah,
all I know is he jumped in the ocean.
Before this dies down, I just want to let you know I'm gonna jump off before it dies down. But I want to say I can't wait to be on the next live and get more into this. This is getting really good, and it was great having Eddie's parents up here. You know, they're still the question I asked them is a question that I think only parents would know or to feel. How do you feel raising a child behind bars from 15 to now, 30 years later? He's an adult. He's our age, you know? And they take it day by day. And that just, to me, tells me that they believe in Eddie's innocence. And they
Let me
believe
say
that
this.
there's someone else out there that did this.
Ryan asked the defendant if he had seen anything suspicious in the neighborhood when he left his house for Burger King. The defendant replied no. This is the next day. So Paul Downing called Jeannie O'Brien the morning after his mother's murder. The defendant answered the phone and expressed his sympathies. He told Paul that he had been jumped and stabbed in Union Square the previous night. Ryan Downing also called the defendant that day out of concern for him after hearing that he also been stabbed. The defendant told the story of the alleged attack, adding that his legs got scratched when he fell to his knees and that the only witnesses were a couple of drunks across the street. The parole officer brought that up. Ryan asked the defendant if he had seen anything suspicious in the neighborhood when he left his house for Burger King. The defendant replied no. Also that morning, Garvey, right, one of the people who seen him jump out the bushes, right, allegedly jump out the bushes, John, Seth, and Marco came to the defendant's house, right? The defendant's father told Garvey that the defendant wanted to speak with him privately in the backyard. There, Garvey told the defendant that Marco, Seth, and John had seen him in the previous night jumping onto Hamlet Street from the bushes behind the Downing house. The defendant denied that, saying it was impossible. Marco, by this time, had already told police what he saw the previous night behind the Downing house. He again asked the defendant how he got scratches on his leg. The defendant now replied he did not know. Later that day, Marco asked him why he was in the bushes behind the Downing house. The defendant denied that he was there. How do you get like that's like? But this is a 15-year-old, and you heard what he said at the parole hearing. He said that's the worst mistake he made in his life, and that he thought, he said, I'll put that back on the stage. He said that. Go ahead, you could speak.
I mean, just so I know, James. Here's another thing to think about. This kid, he's 15 years old, runs across the street, walks into his friend's house, sees the front door open, comes into this murder scene, right? He's got a size 15 fucking foot.
Right.
And there ain't no blood on his fucking sneakers, bro. I mean, he went through the house. They're saying
he'd be tracking it. Yeah. He'd be tracking it everywhere. His shoes would have picked up
size
something.
15.
I get.
Let's hear what the parole. Let's hear what this is. The parole here.
That
Let's
never
hear what
came
they
out
say.
to assist you in any way over the years?
No. That is one of the biggest regrets I have. I wish I had an answer for you. I just think it was the shock. I mean, I can't explain it. You're right. I should have.
He ain't bullshitting. You know what I mean? He's speaking from the chest.
Listen, hear what he
That's
said.
where you want to leave it? You don't want
Yes.
to indicate who that person was or anything?
That's correct.
And you,
It sounds like he knows who that person is.
I'll tell you, parole's a scary thing. Even when you're getting out for, doing 2 years, this guy's doing 30 trying to get out. He's been in there his whole life.
Yeah, but he waived it a bunch of
Parole is a
times.
tricky.
He waived
Yeah.
it. He waived because he got his
It's
first parole. His first parole, he could have got it in 2015, 2016. He waived it all the way until 2024. But
Yeah, but weren't they
and
saying
I'm
just
only
admit to it and we'll let you out?
let's keep in mind, right? I just want to say this, right? I'm saying all the stuff I'm saying because if Eddie is going to get an appeal, he has to get over that. You heard the way the parole reacted. That's the same way the judge is going to react in the appeal.
Yep.
So you was in the house and you just didn't tell anybody for 2 weeks. You decided not to tell. Like, why? That's what he has to get over. I think that it's a softer landing that he has 30 years in. He was 15 years old. He was threatened. He was scared. If they could get over
It was
that
a
pot
50. Yeah, it was a
and
15-year-old
test the
boy.
DNA, then he has a chance. But that's a hard thing to get over.
Right.
It's a very hard thing to get over, and we don't know why he did. And Big Ed said he wasn't like an ordinary 15-year-old kid. So, and then you got the guy
Yeah, he
Mr.
said
Arnold
he
saying,
acted younger.
Yeah, he acted a little younger.
well, they're saying that, and then he said, like, you got people who testified that the day before, he said, did you ever want to hurt somebody? Blah, 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 blah. Then he asked, then they said that, then Ryan said he showed him how to open up the cellar door. It was a tricky way to do it, and he taught him how to do it. All these different things, bro. There's a lot of testimony in there that's going to be in the appellate. Like the way they line this shit up, you guys got to go through this. There's files and files of this stuff that doesn't look good for him. But to Eddie's credit, to Eddie, he had no defense. So that's the reason why I'm bringing up the prosecution, because now we can form a defense, right? Okay, that's what they're saying. How do we get around that? What would you do? What would you combat that with? You know what I mean? Obviously now you look at it as he was 15, but then there's other people that age, super predators allegedly, but you got like the guy, what was his name? Chisholm and Danvers, who killed the girl behind the school. He was 14 years old. He stuck her in the trash. He stabbed her. He raped her when she was dead. And he was 14. He did that. So you can't, it's crazy because you don't want to think that, but that's the way that's along the lines. And then you're thinking about the political of it. Governor Weld, Riley, the juvenile laws, everything that went with it. Now the laws are turning back, right? Now the laws are turning the way they originally was as juveniles, right? Kind of having leniency towards them. But he lived it where they bounded people over in juvenile offender laws, okay, you're a juvenile offender. You got caught doing this 5 times, bound them over, put them in jail. So he was the face of that, just like Karen Reed was the face of they didn't want the ATF agent and all the people at 34 Fairview to go down. No. We already got, blame it on the girl, so blame it on the kid. Same situation. But here's the bottom line. And I'll just say this. Whether you think he's guilty or not guilty, if he would have had a fair trial and had say like a Alan Jackson defending his case, he might have walked. You know what I mean? Like, even if he was guilty, because there's a lot of reasonable doubt. The thing is, you got to draw a line. Karen Reed, I was on the side that she was innocent, right? So it was easy to say free Karen Reed because I was along the side she was innocent. But I also said, if you think that she's guilty, you really can't hate on her that she's going to get found not guilty because of all the reasonable doubt. And this is the same it's the same situation here. There's a lot of reasonable doubt. He was 15. You go with all the players, how they try to keep him in jail, gag him, leave him in jail. Like, think about it. December 22nd, It's a couple of days before Christmas. A 15-year-old kid's about to come home. No. The DA in the county and the governor steps in and denies that shit, figures out a way. When did you ever hear that happening? But a judge looked over the whole case, went through it all, everything that I'm doing, seeing inconsistencies, and says, I'm going to give him $20,000 bail. She was okay with it. And think about it. He was going home right across the street from where the murder happened. How crazy would that would have been if he would have came home on a bracelet? The family would have been looking across the street. He's home in the window. The person who allegedly. So the judge wasn't afraid of that.
His parents already paid the bail.
Yeah, but the thing is, me and James knows how that process works. Like, he was in Plymouth, and they said, you got bailed, O'Brien, and they drove him from Plymouth in the back of a sheriff's van all the way to Cambridge in a cell. And all he's waiting for is them to bring him upstairs into the court and release him out the door. And he's probably wondering what the fuck is going on. And behind his back, they're in the Supreme Court taking it all down. And then all of a sudden, hey, all right, come here, O'Brien. Cuffed him back up, threw him back in the van. What's going on? They fucking overturned it. What? That shit don't happen. Because they already overturned it on a bail reduction. He already had whatever bail it was, and then they overturned it on a bail reduction, and then they went to the Supreme Court and overturned it again. Like, on December 22nd. If you don't think that shit was tactical, you're crazy. To a 15-year-old? Man, that was the first Christmas he ever missed. And he missed that shit even worse because he was thinking he was coming home, man. He was in the back of that sheriff's van. They were probably playing Rudolph and shit was on the radio. Rudolph, the red nose. They're hitting every bump on the way. Probably listening to Frosty and shit. Think he's going to come home. And then they say, no.
Damn.
Think about that.
How great Christmas was going to be.
Yeah,
That's crazy,
think about
man.
that. That's the mindset. Like, that's that long lasting effect. I guarantee that sticks in his head. That I could feel that.
And hasn't had a Christmas since.
Outside. So I mean,
with his family. Right.
But
yeah, man, it's interesting, and to say the least, it's very interesting, and we're gonna get down to some more on it. It seems like Eddie's parents are very open to speak with JFK, Kevy Kev, James Jackson, and that's just what it is. I mean, JFK broke this story open. Eddie just went up for parole last year, and now Eddie wants to be heard. You know, all this stuff. There wasn't social media like this back then.
I want him to be heard. You know, I want him to be heard, but I want people to understand. Yep. I want people to understand that you got to understand the facts, though, of the case. You know what I mean? I just don't want people to spin a narrative like, Artie did it, Paul did it. Like, we don't know who did it. Let's be clear. We don't know who did it.
Right.
You know what I mean? We know what they did that night. We know what Paul did. Allegedly, he left and jumped in the ocean with his clothes on. And we know what Artie did. He was out there like a bird looking for a worm and shit, looking for a key. These are all facts, but that don't mean they murdered anybody.
Gelling is there. Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's just the facts. You know what I mean? Adi stalks everyone involved in this case. He's here now watching and commenting on a fake account like he does. He's too invested into this. Why can't Adi let this go? And listen, I hate to sound, like I don't want to curate that in this chat to say attacked anybody. But if you guys look at this case, and Shooting has every right to say what he says because he knows the ins and outs of this case. But I would tell everybody in this chat, before you make an assessment, right? Go back and listen to all 8 episodes. Do a little bit of digging yourself and draw your own conclusions. But make sure you look at the facts. Make sure, and I'm sure there's a lot of facts that hasn't been brought out yet in appeal. And unfortunately, we'll never know them facts until, he can speak on them. Until it's not going to hurt Eddie and he can speak to it. Because right now they can't speak to nothing. They're kind of handcuffed, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, you jumping out of here? James Jackson?
Yeah, I'm gonna jump out of here real quick. What did she say? This super chat. Let me read it. What if the keys in Paul Jr.'s room were Adi's keys? And when he found out what Paul did, he needed them back ASAP. So what if the keys in Paul Jr.'s room were Adi's keys? And when he found out what Paul did, he needed those keys back ASAP.
But he had the
I don't know. Does
keys
that
though.
make any sense
It
to
doesn't
you
really
guys?
make sense. It does.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense because Adi drove there in that cab and had the key to the cab on that. So if Paul had the key, he wouldn't have had the key to the cab. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he told the cab, so you know for a fact he didn't have that key. Another thing is, you know how he always
So
stresses
wait
he
a
had
minute.
one.
So wait a minute. I just want to bring something up. So if Eddie goes in the house and somebody says, "Don't say a word, I'm going to kill your family," and he ends up bolting out now, somebody was knocking on the door, and he shut the door.
You know who
That-
was knocking on the door? Marco was knocking on the door. Gavi was knocking on the door. But that's what I'm saying, cuz
So
like
listen,
when you're
though,
saying someone, but listen what I'm saying, bro. When you're saying someone, you're acting like there's like ghost. No, we know who they are. So let's speak on who they are. And they said they're saying that they heard noises after they knocked on the door, right? Like these are the facts. You got to stick to the facts. They're saying that they heard noises out the back. One went to the top of the porch and looked out like this. The other one went to the street, and then all of a sudden, here comes Eddie rolling out the bushes, and they yelled his name, and he kept walking, and then he turned around and looked at them like they were crazy with his eyes popping out of his head. Then he went to Brigham's. Then he went to Burger King. Then he went to Union Square, and then he never said anything. This is what happened. There's no mysterious ghost that knocked on the door, and we know what happened. That's what he's up against. So I'm just trying to stay with the facts because we have a lot of people watching this, and I mean that with all due respect, Kevy. I'm just saying I don't want people to think that we're like making shit up. I want to stick to the facts of what
I'm
happened.
saying is that if he shut the door behind him, when the three Marcos, when those three boys knocked on the door and he shut the door, did that door lock? And did Ryan or Paul Jr. need a key to get in?
I don't know. I don't. But you know what? I don't know if they did or not. All I know is Ryan came home. Ryan came home at 9:55. He came home and he seen his mother on the floor. That's all I know. The door was open.
Okay.
Obviously, the door was open. I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, like, that's irrelevant. What he got to get past is that you got three people saying, and that's what I'm saying. If we get them three people on the show and they're telling you what happened that night, like, yeah, we knocked on the door, right?
And the door shut.
The door shut, and all of a sudden we hear, you know, you was on that hill.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all of a sudden you look and you think, and he's hiding in the bushes. And they're like, and they said to him, they go, "Hey, Eddie, good one hiding in the bushes." And he jumped down off the wall and he just looked at him. And then he was underneath the street light and he turned around and his eyes were boggled. And then allegedly he goes to Burger King. And then someone testified, a person testified he was in their yard and that he was, you know, he had a dock, and Marco testified he had a dock shirt on. And you got to keep in mind, too, when they went to the store, they said that his shorts were wet. There was running water in the house. I mean, these are all the things that a jury was looking at that convicted him. How do you get past that?
But he also, like we said, now I wanted to bring this up earlier because I went that route from the end of, Hamlet Street. It's a quarter mile to Burger King. I mean,
Eddie had a white shirt on when he got to Eddie had a white shirt on when
they seen him jump off the wall.
No. That's wrong. That's what I'm saying. We got to stick to the facts. When he jumped off the wall, they testified that he had a dark shirt on. When they seen him underneath the street light, his shit was dark, and there was a spot of blood underneath his on the white shirt. And they're saying that was blood from the overshirt that leaked into the white shirt. And the reason why they couldn't sample it is because it was diluted. See, these are just the facts that what they said. I don't know if it's true, but this is what the witnesses are saying. You got to go like we're talking like this is true crime, right? Is this what it is? We got to go with the story of the police report of the witnesses.
So what I'm saying is that he if he allegedly if he jumped off the wall and he would have to run full speed to Burger
right.
King.
I'll talk to you soon, all right, James? Peace and love, brother.
All right, guys. I'll talk to you soon. Peace and
Yeah,
love,
man.
everybody.
Be safe, James. All right, man.
All right,
Love you,
too.
buddy. One love, bro. James Jackson, ladies and gentlemen.
Goddamn, James Jackson.
James Jackson. Disclaimers for James Jackson. And you got to understand too, and I'm talking to you. I'm not even really talking to the chat. I'm talking to you right now, just openly talking to my boy Kevy Kev, just like I would talk to him behind the scenes. The reason why we have to stick to the facts, my dude, is because if right now it seems, right now where me and you are at, right, we're like, yo, free Eddie O'Brien, like he got a raw deal, right? Like this 29 years at his parole hearing, right? There's a lot of things that make him not guilty, right?
Yep.
But before we do that, we have to keep it 100% real, just like we did with Karen Reed. Why didn't she from the waterfall, the 34 Fairview, the whole shit? You got to be transparent with everything to order to have the right fight, to make everybody say, you know what, they're not being biased. They're not only looking at one thing. We're not saying, okay, DNA, and not looking at the fact that there is witnesses, and we got to talk to them people. And
Yep.
if we talk to them people and we think they're fugazi, then whatever, we can debunk that shit. But until then, we got to take them at their word that they seen him coming out the bushes. He admits he was there.
Now, what I was getting at is like Marcos, the people that knocked on the door and seen him scurry out of the bushes. They went to the store.
Yeah, they went to the store. I don't know how they got to the store. Like
So
how they know
listen.
he was at the store.
Well, this is what I want to say is like that neighborhood. Like there's a couple of parks, there's a couple of cut throughs that you could definitely get to the store quicker than walking from the end of that street, Hamlet Street, to Burger King, and then leaving Burger King, taking another right and walking all the way down to that store. The time frame is like it would be a 10 to a 12-minute walk. I mean, and he'd actually have to be kind of like moving. You know what I'm saying? His pants could have got wet definitely from going in Burger King and splashing himself with some water, just like Margot was explaining to us. I mean, his shorts definitely could have gotten wet.
Right.
I went that route, and I mean, I'm thinking to myself,
we got the link up in the chat. Anybody want to come up here and talk to us? Right, we're taking one at a time, and we're doing it for like 5 minutes or so. Right, you got 5 minutes to talk to us about this case. It's pinned up. 5 minutes. That's about it. We're gonna move to him fast. If anybody wants to come up,
the other thing
but I mean, bro, that's the thing. The appeal. How do you get over that? Because that's what the appellate judge is going to look at. They're going to look at the whole thing, right? And do they get over that to get to that? But but on a wrongful trial, they should, right? Because technically, well, there's hair and there's DNA, and they never did it, and that's not fair, right?
Yep.
But do they turn around and do what they did to Karen? They double jeopardized Karen Reed, bro. And the fucking witness and all the jurors, I mean, the jurors came out and said, nah, we didn't have her on murder. We had her on manslaughter. We were deadlocked on manslaughter, not the murder. They came out and said it. They couldn't bring 12 jurors into a room just to tell Beverly Canoni, yeah, by the way, it wasn't murder, And they were like, we don't care. Boom. Imagine she would have got found for murder. She would have got found guilty. Technically, she should have never even had the murder on the table for the second time.
Yeah.
So you're seeing what they did there. So it's like, how do we get past that? And then how do you feel strong? The question is, let me pull up Unforgettable, right? How do you feel? How do you feel going forward? Like you heard the parole board, right? They said the same thing I've been saying. This is not a typical murder.
No, it's brutal.
This is brutal. How can you go forward saying free Eddie O'Brien when you look at the paperwork of the way they you know what I mean? There's a lot of things that you have to get past to really and you know what I mean? Because then it's such a bad death, man. It's like, you know what I mean? It's so
And not
bad.
that-
It wasn't a hit and run. It was just the stabbing, poking someone 98 times. That's fucking crazy, man.
And the fact that not that she was, sexually assaulted, but the bra got brought up about the holes in it and stuff. I mean, those are like, they're acts of some kind of, obsession. You know what I mean? And that's another thing that, makes that case when that judge is reading it off, he has to take all that shit into consideration. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't think he really trusted. I mean, even with the way the father said, I don't think they really trusted some of the medical, evaluations he had.
But then there's the truth serum, right?
Well,
Then he passed that. What's going on, Unforgettable? How you feeling about the show? How you feeling so far?
Hi, JFK. Hi, Kevy Kev. How are you?
We are here. We are here.
This was the most amazing interview ever. You know why? And I'm going to tell you why. Because at first, when we were listening, let's say to Margot, we were getting insight from Margot, right? And getting info from her side. Then we listened to Artie. We listened to his side and what he had to say. Then we listened to Gina and had, but I feel like the parents brought to light a lot of things that we need to take into perspective of there's a possibility of different suspects, not just one pointed to one. I, like you said, there's a lot of different people I'm looking at now and motive. At first it was just like, oh, well, Artie had motive because, he got kicked out of the house and he was heated and, because he was selling drugs, he was doing this thing. And then I started to think about, I find something odd about Artie, and this is my personal opinion. So I just want to make that clear disclaimer on the show, make sure everybody knows this. This is my personal opinion. I feel like Artie gets a little bit too close for comfort with children. And that's just weird to me. Like Chimmy was saying yesterday, like as a Hispanic growing up in a household, like when men acted like that with kids, it's just like, you better be careful with dude. You feel me? That's just the way you think about it. You know what I'm saying? But also I took into perspective when they were talking about Paul Jr., how he put his hands on his mother and he had anger towards his mother because she disliked the fact that he was dating a man that was way older than his age and he was creeping up into his room and she caught him. And, I took that into perspective. So he had, so we kind of see it at all angles. Okay, maybe he had motive with mom because mom, how teenagers are. When I have teenagers and for the people in the crowd here in the chat, they have teenagers, how teenagers can get when we don't allow them to be with somebody they want to be with. They can get very rebellious. They can get very angry. That's things that we have to take into account too. You know what I'm saying? Then me and Chimmy was talking in the background. I don't know if she fell asleep. We were talking in the background, and we were just like, oh my God, this seems like another Menendez brothers like situation, but just taking out Ryan, just keeping Paul Jr. in there. Like, it makes us think. Then we were taking into perspective what the parents were saying about everything else. Like we were just like, me and Chimmy were in the background, like very mind boggles, like, oh my God. Then we started thinking like, what if, Paul Jr., it's because we didn't know, like JFK said, a lot of these facts that came up with the parents and what he's reading is things that like those little things that we haven't known, those little facts, that makes a difference in seeing things in different perspectives. You know what I'm saying? Those little things, those little facts. We didn't know that Paul Jr. We knew that he went down to the beach, but we didn't know that he went inside the water and full clothing. We didn't know, and the daughter found that pretty odd that he just went in there fully clothed. We don't know when they got to the beach if he went to the bathroom and changed or did something because he was carrying a backpack or something, So now, like JFK said, it all leads down. So yeah, everybody's like, maybe it was Artie because of this. Maybe it was Paul Jr. because of this. Maybe it was Paul Jr. and Artie. Maybe Artie helped Paul Jr., get away with it because he was a kid at the time. That was his nephew. It could be, but what caught me